From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome to the program. And it is 6 minutes past the hour, so we like that. Grab an extra minute any chance we get. I open with the saddest of sad news, such a profound loss, and that is the passing over the weekend, Saturday, of Frank Campo, the 43-year public servant of Atlantic City Public School System, head track coach, championship track coach, only head track coach in Atlantic City history to win the South Jersey Championship. Honored to say that I was a competitor on that team, as was Brother Don, as was Brother Jay. Still the only team to ever do that. And Frank Campo, when I say profound loss, one of the most important people in my lifetime for more than 50 years. This one really, really tough. Very, very hard to accept. Very, very hard to believe. His services are a week from today, and we'll keep you posted with that. And we also wrote, if you'd like to go take a look at it, we wrote what I think is a very nice piece on the digital platform of WPG Talk Radio 95.5. So we mourn the passing of Frank Campo. We send our deepest condolences to his wife, Karen, his son, Michael, and the entire Campo family, a very close-knit family. If you remember Ed Graham, who was forever, it seemed, the president of Atlantic City Electric. You know, it's a shame that Atlantic City Electric lost its localness. It's just one of those things that we have no control of, but it's a shame. But Ed and of course, his local successors all kept that great localness always in the forefront. And Ed Graham was an incredible, he was a career employee. In fact, I'm morphing that. Ed was with South Jersey Gas. I'm thinking about Atlantic City Electric, but the comment still stands. And really, on both accords, I love it when you have at the very, very top someone who is local all their lives, whether it's Vince Mayone at Atlantic City Electric, whether it was Ed Graham at South Jersey Gas, now what called South Jersey Industries. I'm not aware of South Jersey Industries if they've kept a lot of their localness. Atlantic City Electric is not, though, which is a shame. But the reason I brought up Ed Graham, great baseball player, by the way, I brought him up because Frank's wife, Karen, and Ed Graham are brother and sister. But such a just tough to verbalize. What a loss at so many levels. Personally, like a thesaurus, an encyclopedia of information. Whenever there was an NJSIAA controversy, Frank Campo was the best at navigating it. He had served on the board for many, many years. Very respected. Had great experience as a head coach. Was a phenomenal athlete in terms of a sprinter in track, sub 10 second, 100 yards before it went to meters. A great wrestler and a great football player. I mean, a triple threat. And just a better human being. Phenomenal coach. I had him for 1 year as my teacher, even. A business class that I took. And that was just phenomenal. How cool is that when your coach, who's like a friend and then became a great friend in adulthood, Frank was only 12 years older than us. Only 9 years older than Jay. So we were very fortunate. When we grew up, we were, and this was in grade school and in high school, we were very fortunate that at the time we came along, there were a lot of very young adults who became teachers, who became our teachers in their 20s. So, you think about it, depending on what age you're talking about, if you're 14 and your teacher is 26, now, I didn't think about it like that then. My freshman year, Frank Campo, and he had been the head coach before that, he's the head coach in basically his early to mid-20s. And you're a teenager. And then later in life, you look at it, and it feels like contemporaries and not really that much of an age difference. Frank got cheated. He only got 76 years. And he played just like Joe Pellegrino played as recently as our last Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open. And I had already been in touch with Frank weeks and weeks ago about our 17th annual. So I made a mention about what I'm doing with Joe Pellegrino. I want to further those remarks right here, right now. This is the first time I didn't put this out in my article. I didn't put it on Facebook. I haven't mentioned this until right now. I did tell you this part. Last week or the week before, we told you, I guess it was a few weeks ago, but not many. We told you that we are naming our closest to the pin competition, which is a $250 cash prize on the occasion this year on Thursday, June 20th at the Linwood Country Club, the 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open. We are renaming, or I should say naming because it didn't have a name. There'll be a beautiful sign. I already have it in my mind exactly what it's going to look like. And it will be at the hole. Off the top of my head, I don't remember which hole the closest to the pin is. I think that the longest drive is the 16th hole. But anyhow, the closest to the pin will be named the Joe Pellegrino. I'll tell you, this is a very painful few weeks. I became incredibly close with Joe Pellegrino. He played in our tournament almost every single year. I'm not aware of him missing any. He loved it. We loved him. He won the closest to the pin a few years ago. Very good player. And so we're naming the closest to the pin the Joe Pellegrino Memorial Closest to the Pin competition. And we are naming the longest drive competition the Frank Campo Memorial Longest Drive competition. And then we'll keep their names alive in perpetuity. And every year you'll see the nice sign. You'll see their name that will make you think of them. And years from now, when you see the name, you'll remember it and have never forgotten. So we are honored to do that and very, very sad to be doing that at the same time. On to some of the news. We'll tell you, I'll wait till after the break. ABC News poll. They're really good at polling unlikely voters, which is about as stupid as it gets. I'll tell you, they better stop this crap. I'm sick of these people. Yeah, let's go find unlikely voters and then tell the American people who's winning. And so you can't blame me. Oh, this is sour grapes. Trump's still winning. So I'm against it no matter what the results are. I love it when it's this kind of opportunity because if Biden was leading, Like, oh, you like the polls if Trump's winning and you don't. You see, there are liars out there that I call liars who lie about lying. But we'll tell you all about that when we come back. And also, just terrible news for the country, for Joe Biden in the Rasmussen polling. And to their credit, they do poll likely voters every single day. And they do what's called a 3-day rolling average. And by the way, even though we got a little bit of rain yesterday, I know if you suffer at this time of year, you don't have to tell me. I am suffering right with you. Everything. Eyes, sinus pressure, and I'm really staying on top of every allergy type of kabuki that I can do. And it's still terrible. You know, God is great. I can handle 7 weeks of this. That's about what it is. It's usually about April 1st through about the day of our golf tournament is when the house cat goes out, for the whole day. I'm out there the whole time. And I handle it pretty well by then. And then definitely, right after that, it's good to go. No problems at all. But the thing that happens, and you don't think about it as much if your job didn't rely on overuse of your voice. See, my challenge is, it's not that I don't just speak during this program. I'm interviewing people all the time. Talking to sources, talking about issues, covering things, taking people's calls, returning people's calls. And so the instrument, if you will, has to be able to perform. And it was a tough weekend. Thank God the weekend came when it did. I said to Margie, oh my God, my throat hurts. It's just, all of this is just horrible. And I don't know how many days actually, because I just try not to think about it. And I'm really good at just compartmentalizing. You have to be, I think. But out of those 7 weeks, 8 weeks of allergy hellishness, probably half of those days, I don't even know how I'm going to get through a day. That's how impactful it is. So if I could, I'd do one of two things. I'd blink this baby all the way to Thursday, June 20th, and be saying, welcome to the 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Golf Open, Charity Golf Open, live from the Linwood Country Club. And if I really could, I'd blink this baby right to November 5th, with predicated by having a great Charity Golf Open and having a great charity dinner on Friday, October 4th, I believe it is. That's the other thing with the allergies. It does rob you of a little bit of your sharpness because it's just miserable. Let me check. Yep, October 4th. And boy, that's going to be a big night. Michael Harrison, yours truly, and a cast of about 250 people at Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City in the iconic, historic Ocean Ballroom. See, I'm telling you, I'm choking up. This is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. But we will do what we always do. We'll grin. We'll bear it. We'll push forward. But it's just terrible. Because I'm a very compliant person. I do what, my doctors tell me. I'm very compliant. I've got to figure out how to skin this cat. If it means going to Florida part of April is no good in Florida. But now is. There's no tree pollen right now. Maybe May 1 to June 20th, June 15th. The tournament's on different days because it doesn't matter where I am. As long as I'm here with you, it doesn't matter physically where I am. I've got to figure a way. I love solving problems, and I'm always helping other people with their problems. I've got to skin this cat. I got to figure a way to. I know what I'm going to do when I get older. I'm getting the hell out of here, at least for that 6 weeks. I mean, there's no reason to suffer. You know, I'm willing to take shots. I haven't done that. I'm willing to do that. If that will make a difference, I'll look into that. I've talked to my allergist. I have one, Dr. Schwartz. He's excellent, and we've tested everything in the world that I can be allergic to, and thankfully, it's not much. But one of it is oak tree pollen. And what do I live right on top of? Inches from my nostrils and my eyeballs? Yes, oak trees. Only I could do that, unwittingly do that. And the truth is, though, we love our home. It's inanimate, so you don't love it, but we strongly like it. And we really like where we live. So I just eat it. And sometimes I'm telling you, if you suffer from this, you choke on it. You can taste it. You see, I mean, it's just awful. All right, I'm running late. When I come back, and I'll come back as quick as I can, I come bearing news, and a lot of it. Hey, I love this Alan Dershowitz cause. He's formed I don't know if it's an official group, but it's called, quote, "Hurt a Jew, we sue you." Alan Dershowitz. They have a group. They will, on your behalf, if you are Jewish and you are being deprived, somehow being retaliated against, the victim of anti-Semitism, they will work with you. And there's also this Anti-Semitism Support Act, which I really support. We need to get on board with that. That's just as important as the 1964 Civil Rights. Just as important. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. For some reason, Jew hating and all of this is big time in vogue right now, and it really always was. And we told you, and I would have people say, "Harry, I don't see it." I said, "Well, you don't see it. I do." Nobody can say they don't see it anymore. I can tell you that.
In a world full of fake news, AI, and unverified information on social media, where can you get the latest, most accurate South Jersey news? WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Don't wait for the newspaper to come in the mail. The WPG Talk Radio app is updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Accurate, dependable, reliable. When you need to know, it's WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Fox News commentary.
Governor DeSantis kicks lab-grown mystery meat to the curb in Florida. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
The elites want more control through digital currencies in a cashless society. This is Stephen K. Bannon, and I believe gold is the answer to safeguard your wealth, especially if you own your gold inside of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting SHELTER to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, so text SHELTER to the number 989898 to claim your free info kit today.
Message and data rates may apply.
Once again, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is leading the way on another important and often overlooked topic, our American food supply. Last week, Governor DeSantis signed a bill banning the sale of lab-grown meat in Florida. For those unfamiliar with Petri dish-grown meat, it's grown from animal cells and then shaped to look like burger patties or chicken nuggets. If that doesn't sound appetizing to you, you're not alone. By signing SB 1084 into law, Governor DeSantis is thumbing his nose at the World Economic Forum and the elites who run it. Those hacks, along along with some American Democrats, are pushing lab-grown and fake meat as a way to cut down on emissions and reduce global warming. Ironically, many of those same elites have no problem traveling on private jets or cruising the water in mega yachts. Governor DeSantis is not only keeping the globalists out of our food supply, but helping American ranchers and farmers stay in business. I'm Tommy Lahren.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
Hey, Garber Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine.
Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
I don't care what any lying liberal tries to spin today. This ABC poll of 2,200 adults, they didn't even poll registered voters. They went, it's like on purpose. There's no reason in the world that in the run-up to the most important election on planet Earth that you would do anything other than poll only likely voters. There is no reason to poll what I call unlikely voters, which are registered voters. And there's absolutely positively no reason to poll people who aren't even registered. Why don't we next poll illegals who are living here? Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Illegal Family. If you could vote for president, who would you vote for? I mean, I'm actually of the belief that may happen. That'll happen someday. It may happen in this election. But I doubt it, though, because they desperately. It's not that they want Biden to win. They don't like him, the media. They don't like him a little bit. I mean, he's bad for business. Their hatred of Trump is at such a disturbing level. When we come back, I'm going, and I ran really long in the first segment with our sort of eulogy and everything that we were doing, ran really, really late. But we'll catch up and we'll have plenty of time. I'm going to share with you, if you're a Joe Biden or a Joe Biden sycophant or even a Joe Biden supporter, these are even the ABC News jaded poll of the unlikeliest, because they're not even unlikely voters. They're just adults. Notice you don't see too often either. They're not really like in the old days when the Democrat was clobbering the Republican. They would always show you like 18 to 49-year-olds, 18 to 34-year-olds, things like that. Notice they don't really do that anymore because Trump is crushing Biden in the younger demographic, which really is, it's psychedelic to me. It's wild that is the case. All right, let's get the break in. We'll be right back. Please don't go away. It is the Hurley in the Morning program.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Harry Hurley at 32 minutes past the hour with 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. A fourth would be a blockbuster that we broke over the weekend involving Marty and Laquetta Small. This morning we filed that we believe that it should be expanded, the criminal investigation into Marty Small, and we explain why. And enough bad news, the greatest moments in Atlantic City history, and our article on longtime Atlantic City athletes.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. A bit of fog shrouding South Jersey this morning. For now, temperatures are close to yesterday's highs in the 50s, but we are set to warm up today. Look for a high of 71 with lots of clouds and hit or miss showers around too. Mostly cloudy with patchy fog tonight. A few showers and thunderstorms possible, low 58. Chance of showers early and late tomorrow. It'll be partly sunny and warm for your Tuesday, high 73. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. This is an important safety.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
We need to just listen to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. So if you were the sitting president of the United States and a candidate for re-election, how would you like this? 81% of respondents say you are too old for another term, and your opponent, Donald Trump, outpaces you by a moonshot on mental sharpness and physical health. Again, if you're Joe Biden, you have a job performance, a job approval rating of 35%. That is the lowest ever recorded in American history. 57% disapprove, and 43% say that they're worse off financially with you as president, and that has to be because lying Democrats who lie about lying bring that number down. It's got to be more than 43%, but that's still a terrible number. And then again, if you're the opponent, President Trump, you lead in 6 of 10 issues involved with handling the economy, handling other, the military, and handling other really important issues. And really, you only trail in terms of abortion and health care. Trump leads everything else. On the economy and inflation, he has a 14-point advantage on both, President Trump does. On crime and safety, President Trump has an 8-point lead. That's why I'm telling you this survey is so much worse than you think it is. There's no way that Trump only has an 8-point lead on crime and safety. That's not even possible. This is also not possible. Trump in this survey, because they polled 2,200 people that aren't even registered voters. Trump has a 17-point lead on immigration. It's got to be higher than that. Trump has an 8-point lead on handling Israeli-Hamas war. It's got to be more than that. And dealing with America's standing in the world, Trump has a 7-point lead in that. Biden leads. We're fair. We tell you, not just what we want to, what you want to hear or, what we want to be true. We tell you it all. Biden has a 12-point lead on abortion and a 5-point lead on health care. Here's something. Biden has a 20-point weaker support among African-American. They call them black. I don't like that. African-American respondents under the age of 50 than those who are older than 50. And here's another very good item for Trump. Trump leads, I believe, 42-40 among independents, and I know it's higher than that. So that is phenomenal. 14% trust Biden to handle the economy. How about that? Wow. That is terrible. So it is, and the African-American voters, or I should say adults, because it's not voters in this poll, 2,200 adults don't trust Biden, meaning African-American voters or adults, to handle the key issues that they tested in the survey. Wow. How about that? That is not good news. And even when you throw in all the other independent candidates, non-Republican, non-Democrat candidates, Trump has 42%. This is the ABC poll. Biden 40, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. 12. I'll tell you, he's really going to make a difference in this thing, in the states that he's on the ballot. He should have actually tried to become the nominee of one of the other parties that have wider ballot access. He's got to do it the hard way, state by state by state, very, very challenging. Cornel West has 2%. Jill Stein has 1%. Pretty amazing. And, of course, they always poll Trump and the criminal trials. They say that Trump could face a potential risk with voters if he is convicted of a felony. And you realize what this Merchan is doing. It's unbelievable what he's allowing. He's allowing, you can't, I want to be fair. We're not going to let you see the Access Hollywood tape, but they're letting them talk about it. What does that have to do with whether you had an illegal campaign contribution or something? These charges are so fake. They are outrageously bogus. But Trump could face a potential risk, quote, with voters if he is convicted of a felony in his trial in New York. While 80% of his supporters said they'll stick with him if he's convicted, 16% said they would reconsider their support, and 4% said they would back away, which could cause issues in the close race for the White House, which is the whole point. It's called lawfare. They're charging President Trump with fake, pun intended, trumped up charges. So then he can say, now that he's convicted, this much is gone. When we come back, more horrifically bad news for Joe Biden. The Rasmussen polling and the impact, potentially, upon decision 2024. We'll be back right after this.
Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person on the radio who isn't afraid to speak the truth about what's really happening in Atlantic City.
WPG
right.
Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I'm looking for trustworthy news.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Yeah, I'm always multitasking. I was here, but I was, of course, helping someone. 44 minutes past the hour on the Hurley in the Morning program. Wide open forum coming up right after the top of the hour break. The Rasmussen Reports polling. This is Joe Biden's America that he created. 4 in 10 likely U.S. voters. You believe this? Wait till you hear this. 4 in 10 likely, not adults, not non-voters, not unlikely voters. 4 in 10 likely United States voters think that the United States could experience a second civil war at some point in the next 5 years. Rasmussen found that while half of likely voters think that a second civil war is not likely, more than 40% of voters say it is, quote, somewhat or, quote, very likely to occur within the next 5 years. 16% said a second civil war is very likely to occur in the next 5 years. 25% said that it is somewhat likely. 29% said this is not very likely. 20% said this is not likely at all, and 10% said they're not sure. So what do you think of that? It's 41% say that a second civil war is very likely or at least somewhat likely. And really, if you said 29% said it is not very likely, that means that you're open, that you could actually put that number in the other side a little bit. In 2018, Rasmussen polled the same issue. 31% of likely voters at the time said that, quote, that it's likely that the United States will experience a second civil war sometime in the next 5 years, that is now 10% higher. Check this out. The poll also asked likely voters, would a second civil war be more likely if President Joe Biden wins re-election in November, or would it be more likely if former President Donald Trump wins, or would it not make much difference who wins the election? 37% said that a second civil war is more likely if Biden wins. 25% said it's more likely if Trump wins. 12-point differential there. 30% said the winner of the election would not make much difference, and 8% said that they are unsure. Just to give you the tabulars here, 1,105 likely voters across the United States were polled from April 21 through 23 with a margin of error of plus minus 3 percentage points. President Trump showcased at a private dinner event the leading VP candidates. Kristi Noem was there. However, she left early and is not in the photo with Trump and all the other leading VP candidates. And then, of course, the great showman, Trump, called out, anybody willing to donate $1 million can come up to the stage right now and get in this photo. And 2 people did. $2 million. Trump has raised, I think it was either $79 or $80 million in April. They're going to raise a lot of money. It's going to be happening. So right now, the people who were featured, Senator J.D. Vance, who I like, but I don't want him as VP. Tim Scott, I do want for VP. I would be absolutely satisfied with Marco Rubio, and then they would have to work out this Florida and Florida thing of them both living in Florida. Elise Stefanik, one of the most prolific Trump supporters and defenders in the country. Byron Donalds, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. But Kristi Noem, it's over. It's not happening. Don't want to break anybody's heart if that's who you wanted, but she had another national interview. It was disastrous. She's done. And in fact, she might even start to have a problem at home if she doesn't stop this hemorrhaging that's going on. Yeah, she has no chance to be the VP running mate. She did. I think she was going to be the nominee, potentially. Not now. And then there's this. I could have led with this. Of course, I'm going to leave with Frank Campo. If you haven't heard the news, the passing of Frank Campo is just heartbreaking. Otherwise, this easily could have been the lead. I've never witnessed anything like these scumbag Democrats that we have in this country. They're the worst. Have you ever witnessed a commander-in-chief be attacked the way that the Democrats have attacked Joe Biden, the rest, Chuck Schumer, Fat Nadler? Fat Jerry Nadler said that Benjamin Netanyahu is the worst Jewish leader in 2,000 years. Can you believe he said that? That's like the Hasmonean dynasty era. The worst Jewish leader in 2,000 years. That is just abominable. But that's who these Democrats are. Undermining Israel during the war itself. And it has come out, and I have it somewhere here in my briefcase. Let me see if I can find it, because it would be a timely moment to share this with you. Israel has confirmed, and I'm glad they're doing this. Let the world know. The White House put ammo shipments on hold. Can you believe that? As Joe Biden trashes Republicans for not approving aid to Ukraine and to Israel, this is the first time in history that the United States has stopped a shipment to the Israeli military. And it's certainly the first time since the Hamas attacks of October 7th. This is remarkable to me, how these Jew haters, that's why I'm really glad that Dershowitz formed Hurt a Jew, We Sue You. I like that. I think that's good. And I am a big-time supporter of the Anti-Semitism Support Act. It's just as important as the 1964 Civil Rights. Just as important. Don't let anybody ever tell you anything different. No difference whatsoever. What's going on right now with this Jew hating is pissing me off, in case you can't tell. And I'm also amazed that so many Jews continue to support these Democrats. I don't even know what that means. I know it's cognitive dissonance, voting against your own self-interest. I don't even know what it means, though. Why you do this, I don't understand it. It just is it monolithic? I mean, what? I almost can't even go there, because I can't process anybody that would support people like this. Robert Kraft is fighting anti-Semitism with full-page ads as we speak, which is terrific. He said, and I quote, as a graduate of Columbia University, I am deeply saddened by the hate and polarization taking place today, and he's talking about Columbia, on a campus I love so much. He pooled his support last month for his own alma mater. Quote, I am appalled that this hate has only continued to rise and has spawned growing levels of physical intimidation and threats of violence that have taken over college and university campuses across our country. Quote, political issues can be, and most importantly should be, debated. They should be debated vigorously. But vicious hate speech and physical intimidation, preventing others from feeling safe, pursuing their studies, or having their voices heard is completely unacceptable. Kraft stressed that, quote, shouting vile, hate-filled labels at students while hiding behind masks is not free speech. It is cowardice, insisting that the protesters at Columbia and other colleges should be held accountable, end quote. Yeah, I love this. And I love this campaign, the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism's. It's a 25 million, quote, stand up to Jewish hate campaign. This is good. No, this is great. It's not good. And I want to talk about Judge Merchan for a moment. And don't forget, the phone lines are going to be wide open. If you hear me pause once in a while, I'm hitting the cough button on my board. These allergies are demolishing me. So if you hear a little pause here and there, I'm just not, I'm trying not to let you, in on how this is going. Trying to keep it right. But this Merchan, God, I don't ever wish anyone ill. I cannot stand this guy. He tells Trump, and it's in front of the jury too, the gag order doesn't bar you from testifying in the criminal case. Isn't that great? I want to stress, quote, to Mr. Trump, you have an absolute right to testify at trial. That's at the start of the 11th day of the trial. Oh, really? He didn't know that, right? He didn't know that already, you slimeball. Because Trump said the other day that the gag order would prevent him from testifying. So the judge comes out and says that's not the case. And Trump told the media that it won't stop me from testifying. If I'm Trump, don't testify. You know, it's kind of interesting. I watched a movie last night. I saw it years ago, and I probably watch it every couple of years. It's called The Judge. And it's just another example of how great of an actor Robert Downey Jr. is. He has to be one of my favorite actors of all time. He is phenomenal. And I want to say that Robert Duvall is a phenomenal and I think an underappreciated and underrated actor. You think about The Godfather, the reason he wasn't in Godfather 3, they were not paying him commensurate to his importance in the trilogy. And that's why they have somebody that like plays his son and he's a priest or something. Just a shame. I would have loved for Robert Duvall to be in Godfather 3. They wouldn't pay him right, so screw you, I'm not doing it. And he didn't do it. But this Mershon, with the gag order on Trump, but yet he lets Michael Cohen make comments the way he does? You know, they know. They know it's unlikely that they'll get a conviction. But they believe it's New York City and that they can get a conviction. And keep in mind, they keep saying, the state keeps saying about all these crimes and really, I think, confusing the jury. Maybe not the two attorneys on the jury, but who knows, maybe even them. There's been no crimes committed. But they keep saying about crimes. And if a jury goes in, I tell you the example of Tad DiLorenzo, who got screwed by an Atlantic County jury with good people on the jury who thought, oh no, we better find him guilty of filing a false police report because the next jury might even be worse. They went and convicted him. He lost his job. They didn't know he was going to lose his job. They thought he was going to be able to go right back to work. And they couldn't tell him that, hey, if you find him guilty of anything, he's finished. So it's always precarious. Your calls are next.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes. From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's not even 6 minutes past the hour. I have been giving a lot of thought to how similar what's going on right now is to 1968. Now, I'm not saying that Joe Biden's going to step out of the race like LBJ did. LBJ had a daily drumbeat, with mantras and chants of, LBJ, how many babies have you killed today? And then everywhere Joe Biden goes, and I'm predicting this, their Democratic convention is going to be a disaster. I don't predict it with any joy, but I know it's coming. The protesters are going to be there. The Genocide Joe gang, everywhere he goes, they follow Genocide Joe, and they have very similar LBJ chants. The 1968 versus 2024 similarities are becoming astonishingly comparable. And that doesn't bode well. Again, Jill Biden is one of the most ambitious people that I've ever witnessed in my life. I've been saying this for the entire campaign of 2020, that whole year of 2019 through 2020, and through the entire presidency, that she should be ashamed of herself. The entire Biden family should be ashamed of themselves. That this is akin to elder abuse. It is horrible to watch. Every single time he speaks. And it's gotten so bad that the Biden campaign is now scaling back Biden. He'll be limited to saying about 3 or so things on the campaign trail. And, of course, he'll have his Joe Biden printed no cards. And that'll be it. And, of course, he'll read teleprompters, which I told you this was going to happen. That he would go from all kinds of gaffes when he's not on the teleprompter to being able to read the teleprompter pretty well. Now he can't do that either. There is such, I don't know how close you follow this, but I follow it really close. Very, very microscopically close. And he cannot even read the teleprompter. You know, he reads words like pause. Soon you're going to hear him say stuff like next up. I mean, I've read a teleprompter. I've done it. I'm not saying I did it well, although I think I did do it okay. So I'm not bragging about the experience. I'm just telling you I have read a teleprompter. And for someone with average intelligence, average mental acuity, it's very easy to see what are the words you should be reading, and then in these different brackets and things, and they're highlighted. It's so easy. It's effortless unless you are impaired. And we have a president who has a demonstrably declining mental acuity problem. And if you don't admit it, you don't want to admit it. Go look at even the difference between candidate Joe Biden in the 2020 election and what we get now. He can't even hardly open his eyes correctly anymore. It's a whole different look. And it's that look. You know it when you see it look. And it's getting worse. And now it's affecting, he is Ron Burgundy. If Veronica Corningstone puts the words in the teleprompter, blank you Santiago, or whatever it is, I'm not kidding you. If that said, instead of, and God bless our troops, if it said, have a crappy ass day and I'm a horse's ass, I'm Joe Biden, see you next time, he would read it. You think I'm kidding? I swear I'm not. Mayor Vaughn Reel, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Harry. Good morning to you and your listeners. I happen to agree with you about our President Joe Burgundy.
Yes.
But early on in this Hamas-Israel, I guess you want to call it war, before it was really a war, it was pretty, I shouldn't say predictable, but you just had this ugly feeling that since they hadn't shown the raw and uncut footage of what actually happened, that there was a good chance that this was going to be turned around on Israel. And
because and the reason is because they always turn it on Israel.
Well, yeah, and because people, if you watch ABC or NBC or CBS, I try to split up my news and get, 70% right, 30 to 40% left. But if you watch ABC or NBC or CBS, they are constantly showing pictures of Palestinian children that have been blown up. And they didn't show that when Hamas came in and dismembered parents in front of their kids or killed kids.
Or cut babies' heads off or put babies in microwaves and blew them up and all these different things, raped women to death. We could go on and on. It's just like September 11th, 2001, when the media said, well, it's too disturbing. We're not going to show what happened. Because if they don't show you what happened, they can feed any propaganda that they want to you. Because if everybody took the position, I know my position is very clear. Hamas on October 7th, in a terrorist attack, mutilated, raped to death, murdered, savages, I mean, the whole deal, scores of Israelis, which of course then gives, just like we had the moral high ground when President Bush said that if you harbor a terrorist, we will not distinguish the difference. We will treat you the same as the terrorist. You are the same. And we didn't let the world tell us that we were genocidal and all this. Israel has done, they've done more than we did, probably, if you examine it, to try to avoid. We didn't want casualties to be innocent civilians either, but no one, I believe, in the history of the world has gone to the extent that Israel has to not have civilian casualties. As recently as just the other day, when they told people, get out of there, by this time, we're giving you this amount of time, get out. They would send noise and not actual munition explosives to warn people that in this hour or in 3 hours or whatever, they told them be out by a certain time. No one's ever done this much. And yet they're being called genocidal, homicidal. It's horrible.
I agree. Where I was going at is that a little bit of sunlight cures a lot of things. And what I'm suggesting is, with all these protests on campus, while it's an absurd thought, you could have actually put up some large screen projectors and just projected uncut, raw footage of what was being done. And I guarantee about 70% of those protesters would have realized, uh-oh.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Mayor. Your premise is that they really wanted it to stop. They were supporting their terrorists, their domestic terrorists there, calling it free speech and all of that. They allowed it to go on. They would never show that.
I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying that, the premise, while being absurd.
I mean, if you showed Hitler the movies, would he have stopped what he was doing?
You're missing my point here, Harry. I have kids that are just out of college, and the same lack of analysis and lack of historical understanding or perspective is what I get back from them. And if they had seen, to the point where one of them said, well, I'm not really sure that the atrocities happened.
Geez.
Right. And if they had shown the uncut footage of the music festival, which hits right to the same demographic, I am sure that we would be seeing a lot less of this, and that this birth cohort.
Well, keep in mind, in my opinion, it's a very small number of what I will call persuadables. The rest were rent-a-mobs. They weren't even students. They were Jew-hating, anti-Semites. It only would have affected a scant few.
Well, I wish I could be as optimistic as you, Harry. What I've seen in the debates that I've had at my dinner table with my kids, who for the past 10 years have been in colleges, coming out of it, they've done a good job brainwashing a lot of them on this whole oppressor-oppressed vantage point. It's not just this one item. There's a lot of issues going on. So I think for maybe every 10 students that actually became active in the protest, you probably got another 30 to 50 that are thinking the same way just because they don't know any better.
Yeah, indoctrination.
Right, and that's my point. If you kind of like a shock to the system, if we'd be showing the raw and uncut footage from the music festival of kids their age being shot down that are in the back as they're running away, I believe that many of them would have first real exposure to reality.
Yeah, I want to believe that, but I don't. And the reason I say that is if you've already been indoctrinated, it's just like the Democrats who still support Joe Biden. There's nothing he can do. Honestly, if he got up there and he started blowing bubbles, okay, or he pulled his pants down because he didn't know, like he thought it was time to take a poopy, they would still vote for him and say there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely have sycophants out there, but you always got to have hope, and you can see it with some of the black voters and some of the Jewish voters that are now starting, who have always voted Democrat, that are now starting, at least per the polls.
Yeah, but not the majority.
I agree with that. But we don't need the majority. We just need enough to win.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good conversation. But by the way, more agreement between us than it probably seems.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but I heard everything you said.
Always a pleasure. You
My
did a
honor.
great job.
My honor, your honor. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Yeah, I loved it. I loved that. I loved the whole thing, and even willing to say about his own children. But I put them in a special category: two loving, nurturing parents, very smart parents, children indoctrinated at school, and the ability to perhaps be part of what I call the persuadables. If you show facts, like, hey, before you take this position that this is genocide on the part of Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel, take a look at this. Well, they didn't show me that. No, of course not. They didn't tell you that. They didn't show you that. More of your phone calls at 609-407-1450 coming up right after this.
Hurley in the morning.
They always have great conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Your morning espresso starts right here. It's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
The White House puts out official transcripts whenever the president speaks. And in this folks, imagine what we can do the next 4 more years. Pause. The way they write it up in the official transcript. 4 more years. Inaudible. Now, let's play that again because it sounds very audible to me when he says pause. You decide.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years.
What do you call that, Linda? Propaganda, misinformation, lying, all the above?
I mean, I call it lying. I think lying really sums it up well.
The Sean Hannity Show from coast to coast later today.
All right, winter's officially left the building, so why not spring forward and freshen up your home with new premium window treatments from our friends at Blinds.com. Now, Blinds.com, they created a better way to shop for stylish blinds and shades and shutters and even motorized options. Everything is 100% online. Now, you can do the measure and install yourself, or just let the pros at Blinds.com handle it. Now, you can have multiple window coverings installed for just one low cost. And if you're not sure what's best for maybe an odd-shaped window or to block the sun on your patio, well, Blinds.com, they have design professionals that will help you for free. And they'll send free samples directly to you. Plus, with Blinds.com, you always get transparent pricing on their website, never any hidden fees, no hassle, no multiple trips to a store. Blinds.com has free shipping and their 100% satisfaction guarantee. Just shop right now at Blinds.com. Save up to 45%. Get up to 45% off for a limited time when you go to Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Hurley in the morning.
It tends to make me feel a little bit more intelligent.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 25 minutes past the hour. Welcome to Hurley in the morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry. It's a great day in the city of Brigantine.
Good. Keep it that way. Keep it that way.
I don't know where to begin.
At the beginning.
It's to the point where you just don't even want to be informed anymore. You just don't. You just can't watch what's happening anymore. But I will. I say that, but I will. There's a couple of things. I don't know if you've mentioned this, that 93% of these Gazans that 93% of Gazans are anti-LGBTQ. Have you seen that stat?
Oh, 100%, which is kind of amazing because look what would happen if those supporting Hamas right now in America went there to Gaza for Palestine. Well, there is no Palestine, but went to the region, if you will. What would happen? They would last, 10 seconds?
Well, so it kind of dovetails off of what your last caller was talking about. These kids aren't even taught that the mindset of the Muslim world, that if they were to go to these places that they're supporting, that they'd be dead within 10 seconds, as you said. I say to Biden, bring them here. I'll make the popcorn.
Well, I think President Biden has announced, and I believe it's a trial balloon just to see, how many Americans are going to flip out when they process this news. Biden is talking about bringing them here. And, of course, it'll be just like Afghanistan and elsewhere around the world. There'll be no background checks done. We won't know who is coming in. We will be paying Hamas to move into America.
Oh, I know. I know about that, and that's why I said it. I say, go ahead, Joe, bring them here. I'll make the popcorn, and then I'll make another batch when Trump wins and start sending them back. The same with the.
The problem is getting them here is real easy. Finding them again when they're given pieces of paper that say, "Hey, you got a court appearance in 8 years. We'll see you in 2035." It's going to be tough. I know that President Trump wants to have the biggest deportation effort in history. Eisenhower had quite an exercise, but nothing the likes of which. His was like over 1 million, but nothing like what this would be. This is, I believe it's 12, 15 million, maybe more.
Well, whatever number that they'll admit to, you have to assume it's much higher. It's just like the polling.
Well, they admit to 6 million, so that's why I know it's got to be 12 or more.
Exactly. And these disgusting commercials about Donald Trump with vis-a-vis abortion. If Donald Trump banned abortion, then can anybody explain to me why abortions are up 10% in the year since Roe v. Wade was overturned?
Yes, because he didn't, and they know it, and they're liars who lie about lying. And that's why I think Trump has been very, very good with this issue. He has just said that, it's a states' rights issue, and that has to be finessed. The Arizona law, I'm very pleased, even though obviously I'm unapologetically pro-life. These elections in the midterm election were determinative by the abortion issue. So when you have something like these ballot questions that they're doing on purpose because they cannot win, nobody feels better than they did 4 years ago. They can only win this thing on wedge issues, charging the former president, convicting him if they can, and then saying, "Oh, I can't vote for him now. He's a convicted felon. We made him a convicted felon." I mean, it's horrific what's going on. But these crucial battleground states, that it is no accident that these abortion questions are going back on the ballot again, just like they did 4 years ago, have to be dealt with. And they need to be dealt with intellectually, honestly, and not allow that to become a club that Democrats get to beat Republicans over the head with. Andy, I've got to go to the break. Owe you more time next time, but we still did have 5 minutes there, which is longer than anywhere in the country will give you. Bobby Weiss, one of the most celebrated state championship head coaches in Atlantic City high school history, will join the program in just a few minutes, and we're going to be talking, I hate to say this, it breaks my heart, the late, great Frank Campo. We'll be talking about Frank next with Bobby.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It's exactly 30 minutes past the hour. I am Harry Hurley. I have 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. Longtime Atlantic City Athletic Director Frank Campo has passed away. You can read all about it. I share some of my many thoughts about Frank in a piece that many of you have read already, but check it out. I am calling for an expansion of the Atlantic City Mayor criminal probe, and I explain why. And I also write a piece, Enough Bad News, Greatest Moments.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. We are warming up again this week, 70s and 80s in the forecast. Starting today, you'll have to deal with some fog this morning and lots of clouds today. Hit or miss showers are possible at any time, too. Tonight, we'll see a new wave of showers and thunderstorms come in. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with patchy fog, low 58. Tomorrow's shower chance early and late. Partly sunny and warm in the middle, high 73. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
You have the choice.
WPG. Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Brigantine, Mays Landing.
WPG. Talk Radio 95.5. And the WPG Talk Radio app.
We are back. This is a phone call that, I will talk to Bobby every day, all day. He's a motivational speaker and knowledgeable and just a great friend. I would talk to Bobby every day, all day, but this is the conversation that I never wanted to have. For those who don't know Bobby Weiss, he taught my kids how to drive, former head football coach at Atlantic City High School, great educator, great motivator, great mentor. Anybody that he taught how to drive, he did it with such integrity and care and worried about after they were not his student, how they were doing and things like that, that he taught them the right way to be defensive drivers, to be smart drivers. I could go on, but Bobby, I got to say, and of course, championship head football coach, state champion, Group 4, toughest group to win, championship head football coach at Atlantic City High School. Bobby, these words that you're about to share, it's like surreal. It's out of body right now. I never wanted to have this conversation with you, but here we go.
Hey, Harry, thank you for having me on. But start off with condolences, certainly. Prayers, sympathy to Karen, Mike, Matt, the entire Campo family, as well as the Viking family. The Viking lost one of our most outstanding leaders they've ever had in probably the history of the school. And there are many that have been through there. Harry, you said, I put you on earlier and you said that Frank's loss was a profound loss, and you hit it so true. You could have your 4-hour show on for a whole week, and you would have to turn people away from making calls just to talk new about how Frank, what he meant to them as mentors, as friends, as coworkers. But I just want, there's going to be so many memories throughout the next few weeks that are thought of. But I just wanted to share something that I thought was very important because, he was old school athletic director. He modernized old school athletic director, but, the job description I think is a lot different today. But as a coach, he really didn't work for Frank. He worked with Frank. That's the kind of guy he was. He never put himself so far above everybody else. He was right there with you, trying to be, trying to lead you to help, things out that were really important to him as well as the school. But a couple of things, I coached 43 years, and I'm going to be honest with you. He's the athletic director I would always want to have. And I say this for one reason. The first thing, it started with the athletes, not just the athletes, but the students. He always had kids in his office, always had, conversations, and he could communicate. That's a great thing. And as a former athlete, he coached you, how he could communicate with you and motivate you as well. And that's really important. But the next thing was with coaches, as a coach, if you were falling short, he'd let you know. He wouldn't put you down or anything, but he would be a mentor and try and help you, guide you through, try to help you improve and stuff, especially as a young coach, as a beginner coach, someone who didn't have much experience. And the thing that's really amazing is some coaches that there's been some, I think of Joe Fussner and I think of Gene Allen. There's so many coaches that have gone through there and have excellence and have so many great things done. Frank was a big part of that, but also he worked with the coaches. And if you went to him with something about your program to help improve it, the one thing he never did, he didn't agree on everything, okay? He wouldn't say yes to everything you asked or demanded or whatever you want to call it. But you know what he did? He researched it, and he knew if it was good for the kids, he knew if it was good for the coach, and he knew if it was good for the program to help that program, he certainly would fight to the very end. That was something that, if you have that as an athletic director, if you have that, holy smokes, it makes your job so much easier.
Well, Bobby, as you know, there had never been, it's almost impossible for this to be true, what I'm going to say. There had never been a Group 4 state boys basketball championship. until Frank Campo era of him being the athletic director. And I think it's for the reason, I know it's for the reasons that you said. He gave the programs everything they could possibly need to be successful, whether it's a quality weight room, whatever was required, to get it done. And of course, as you know, at age 26, he was a South Jersey track championship head coach at Atlantic City High School. I never realized when I was 14 that he was only 26. You just don't think about it when you're a child, a student athlete. Campo was a South Jersey head track and field coach, the only one in history, by the way. It's the only 1975. It's the only year that Atlantic City has ever won the South Jersey Track Championship to this day. Campo was the coach at 26 years old. So he had it from a very young age. As you know, he was a great running back. He was a sub 10 second 100 yard, not meter, so yards is longer, as you know, 100 yard sprinter. And he was also a great wrestler. He was a great competitor. He was a great coach, and he was a great athletic director.
Absolutely. Hey, Terry, can I tell you something?
Of course.
You have no idea. For me coming down here was totally, I was in 5 different places, but I've never been in an inner city situation. I couldn't tell you what a brigantine was from. I used to call Buna Buena. And I'll be honest with you, he guided me. We'd get in his old van. You remember his old van?
Oh, yeah.
He would guide me around the entire Atlantic City sending district. And
What? But do me a favor, so I know if you know about that red car he used to have, because I think he had it for about, I don't even know, 30 years or something, and it just kept running. It just wouldn't stop. What year did you meet Frank Campo?
1988.
Well, then you knew that red jalopy he had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what, he really guided me through a very, hey, listen, there's no easy job out there in any school. But I'll tell you what, he guided me through a process that I was probably drove him nuts half the time. But you want to know something? He was patient, and he worked with me. And, there were other guys. And, Frank knew who to go to if he really needed to get something accomplished. He just didn't say no. He just
Well, also, too, I think one of the biggest strengths about Frank Campo, he never wanted the credit for anything. He wanted the result, and he would always give everybody else the credit. And, of course, as true leaders, and I know you can appreciate this comment, Bobby, because you're the same, as true leaders, he always took the blame.
Absolutely. He's such a humble guy. But you know what's amazing when you're that humble? First off, remember how you always talk about, if you want to get something done, ask somebody who is too busy.
Yeah.
That's Frank Campo.
I know.
You give him anything, he's going to get it done. He'll get it done the right way. And I don't want to hold up your line or anything. And I just wanted to share because there's so many people who have great memories with him and good times and fun times and some sad times. But, you being a track guy, him being just an overall, total athlete. Yeah, I did want to share one thing because I think bringing in some scripture is also really important in this situation because, we're only here. Hey, we're here to be prepared for the next part of our life, and that's eternity. And the thing is, you know what, certainly there's a couple scriptures that I could always look at to include Frank because that's the kind of man he was that God created. But I'm going to tell you what right now, the one that really sticks out is 1 Corinthians. It's in 1 Corinthians, and it's the one that relates to track, and you're a track guy as well as your family. Do not know that all the runners in the stadium all race, but only one receives the prize. Run in such a way that you may win. And I really think, hey, to be really honest with you, hey, that is Frank Campo all the way. I mean, he did that his entire career there. And it may sound, I don't want to get emotional, but the one thing I hope, and it never always works out, but down the road, I hope there's a group that is so supportive. Like, when I think of Frank, he was at every event that I was there. I was there 33 years in Atlantic City. He was at every event. I'm talking about all sports, not football, basketball only, all sports. Very few he missed. He got around all the time. He checked things out. You know what? I think, I look at him. I see him still on his knees in the corner of the gym during a basketball game. And all the work he had to do to make sure, especially when those big-time teams came in with Atlantic City, because we are a high-profile basketball program. And there's a lot of things that take place when there's a lot of action. You got to be on your toes constantly. You just can't rely on everybody else to do the job.
Do me a favor, Bob, because we have some time. I'm going to hold the break till the end of the hour. That way I don't have to take a break and come back and ask you to hold. Share something that comes to your mind, you as a coach, friend, whatever, at whatever level you want to address it, that if I said, tell us about something about Frank Campo that comes to your mind, go.
Well, again, the one thing that I don't think you see many athletic directors doing this today, but the one thing I had a pet peeve all the time, and he really bought in, was I didn't believe on canceling games. And I know we always talk about the big snow Thanksgiving Day game.
Yes.
And, he was out there plowing the field, and there's pictures of him.
Frank in his misguided New York Giants jacket with the snowblower. You talk about effort. I mean, that was over the top.
But you know what's crazy, Harry? He knew how I felt about canceling, because I never felt, when I got to really know the Atlantic City kids and stuff like that, I knew, don't cancel things. Keep everything the same. I didn't even like half days. Keep everything the same structure, same disciplines that followed all the way through. But if we even had storms, like possible tornadoes coming in, and I can remember playing Ocean City, and I think Wayne Coleman was the head coach, another Atlantic City Viking alumni who loved Frank and had a lot of connections with him. And I knew they had a very good team, but I said, Frank, we got to play this team. This is our best shot at them, And they had Doug Coleman was playing at the time, and we're at Bader Field, and everybody said cancel, but Frank fought to play the game, and we played the game, and we won. And again, on a dry field, I don't even know if we beat that team that year, because they had some Division I players, and, we were just building that program at the time. So he was the kind of guy that, like I said, remember I said earlier, he wouldn't say no, okay? But he didn't say yes to everything. But he would fight for you to the end if he thought it was true. So a lot of people get ticked off because, we've had situations, especially in football, where, hey, why didn't we cancel? Because I always believe, if the other team, we had coaches come off buses at times, and Frank, they go to Frank and say, hey, well, how come this game isn't canceled? And that's when you knew you won the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know what I'm talking about?
Bobby, do me a favor. Comment on this, because this is another level where Frank Campo shined. And for those just joining the program, it's 45 minutes past the hour. We're joined by, I call him the great Bobby Weiss. He's a great man. He was a great head coach of the Atlantic City High School football program. And it was not an accident that under his direction, they won the state Group 4 championship, which is very, very hard to do. It's the largest schools. Your competition is just incredible. And they did it. They beat everybody and won the Group 4 NJSIAA state championship. I can say this from such a wide spectrum of observation. Frank's friend for more than a half a century, Frank's athlete on the Atlantic City High School track team, as for 25 years an NJSIAA certified basketball official that officiated so many times. And this is a comment that I think is going to be very relatable to you. And I'm not saying it isn't big at football games, but the sort of compressed environment of a basketball gymnasium, a packed house, being organized, being competent, and understanding everything from your security details to everything about the gate and the whole deal. Campo was like a scientist in terms, a perfectionist. He was so, his attention to detail was so incredible. And I could see that, not just as a spectator in a packed house, but also as a game official. And as a game official, I know you can appreciate this, Bobby. You would go to certain places where it was loose and you just knew that you were never comfortable with your setting. Campo in some of the most high-pressured, whether it was Atlantic City, Shawnee, or Atlantic City, Camden, you name it, he shined in those areas, Bobby Weiss.
And that's preparation. A lot of people who you just got to understand, he had a plan, he did it his way, did it the right way. And the thing is, I look at the media coming in. He treated everybody. I'm not a Facebook guy. I really don't go on there, but I even made a mistake when I typed something in for Frank and his family because it just meant such a loss. But the thing look at the people that actually said something about Frank and had prayers and sympathies for the family. I mean, overwhelming. I'm talking about, it's unbelievable. And if you could read every one of them and just make a book out of it, it's like, that's how he was thought. Hey, that's his legacy.
Yeah, and all earned.
Hey, absolutely earned. And you want to know something? Hey, Harry, I'm not big on greatness and stuff. I appreciate accolades. But you want to know something? Without leaders like Frank and without great players and great coaches in all our programs that are successful, we can't get it done. That's the bottom line. You know, we need leadership, and he was a great leader.
You ever notice, though, and I know like guys like you don't ever take credit, and Frank never would take credit if I would say certain things, but great coaches like Bobby Knight goes from Indiana to Texas Tech. Texas Tech wasn't beating anybody. They were not tournament timber. The great coaches can go anywhere. You could say Mike Krzyzewski from Army to he worked with Bobby Knight to then Duke. Great coaches make winners out of programs that were not necessarily winners before they arrived. There's something to be said about that, Bobby.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's first off, those jobs when they open up, they're usually not great jobs. They're usually jobs that, you know, nobody wants for the most part, you know. And again, it can't be done unless you have, you know, support from the top. And to me, in our facility, on our campus, you know, we have a superintendent, we have a principal in the staff, but in the athletic realm, he's the head guy, no matter how you look at it.
Yep.
And like I said, it's, you know...
Well, you know what was good about Campo being your AD, but I could say the same. The man that taught me how to drive was John Boyd, and he was the football coach and then became athletic director. I'm not saying there has never been athletic directors that haven't been a coach, but the fact that Frank was a coach... So the coaches, you know, sometimes people... Well, Bill Ritchie became AD, and he was a really good AD, actually, better than I ever thought he would be. I'm not aware that he was ever a coach. Maybe he was, and I just don't know it. But anyhow, what I'm saying about that is there's somebody that, you know, sometimes in life you have a boss and you're thinking, God, they don't even know. They never did the job. They don't know what I need. They don't know what I go through. They don't know what, you know, I need to be successful. Campo knew what every single head coach needed to be successful. And what he didn't know, if it was a sport that he wasn't as familiar with, he listened to his head coaches. And he also did a really good job, whether it was Jack Sorensen in tennis or you in football, or you could go on and on and on, cross country, track, and so on. Basketball, girls basketball, boys basketball. He knew how to handle coaches.
Yeah, and you know what, Harry? He came in an area when he came in. Just think about the sports they had. Girls' sports were getting bigger and bigger. They had more sports they were including. You know, he was there when they started lacrosse and brought wrestling back. And there was a number of sports that, you know, he just had less time than you could ever have. But you never appreciated that until you think about it. Because, like I said, it's not an emotional thing. But, like, naming the gym after Frank Campo, you want to know something? To me, he's more deserving than anybody I would know in the entire Atlantic County, because he was there all the time.
Yep.
And he wasn't wasting time. He was working at it. He always had that walkie-talkie in his hand, and he always was moving around. And, you know, it just was a really a great example of how you're supposed to get things done and how you're supposed to do things. And and more important than anything, he just was a guy, I mean, everyone's going to miss, and they're going to remember.
Well, what I want people to do, because we're never going to forget him, because we loved him, and for a lifetime, you know, we've never, ever lost touch. So we're all going to remember him for the rest of our lives. What I want to do, and it's not just going to be with what I'm about to share with you, I announced in the 6 o'clock hour this morning that in our annual, and it's our 17th annual Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open at the Linwood Country Club, we are naming our longest drive competition, which is $250 cash prize for the golfer that hits the longest drive at what I believe will be the 16th hole. But anybody listening, any of our players, don't hold me to that, but I do have it in my notes at home in my office. We're naming it the Frank Campo Memorial Longest Drive Competition. So that means every year when people go to that hole, there's going to be a beautiful sign. It'll say Frank's name. It'll be in his memory. That is a small effort to keep Frank in his memory alive. And I know that other people, I mean, the Atlantic City Board of Education, I don't speak for them, but I know they must do something, whether it's naming the gym. I'm going to lead as many efforts or just work on as many efforts as I can to keep Frank's name out there because he was so modest and never, ever tooted his own horn. Am I lying, Bobby Weiss?
That's total truth right there. And any help you need with that, you just put me on the list because there'll be a list of pages that people want to help.
That's right. We have each other's cell phone numbers, so we're going to stay close. For those who don't know, Frank's funeral service is a week from today, so that's smart because that gives everybody obviously a chance to get home, and there's a lot of people that are going to send Frank off. I know it. It's a week from today, right in Northfield, and we'll be sharing all the details, 9 o'clock to 12, and then there will be the interment right after that at like 1:15. But I've got to get this hard break in, Bobby. We'll stay close. Anything you need, or if you think of anything, please call or text me.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Harry, and condolences, prayers, and sympathies. And I know it's a very tough loss for everybody in the Viking community.
I knew you would call. I didn't even think about having to call you. I knew you would call today. You're a great man. Thank you, Bobby. We'll keep in touch.
Take care.
You too, my friend. Bobby Weiss, Atlantic City State Championship football coach, head coach at Atlantic City High School. We'll be back. Don Purdy, Atlantic County Republican Party chairman, will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Mayor Charles Kane in today's 9 o'clock hour. It is the Hurley in the Morning program.
The WPG Talk Radio app is everything South Jersey on your phone and in your car through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Local news, weather, and information updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Easy access to WPG podcasts and more. Powered by Smokers Haven. You'll find the finest selection of cigars at any of their 5 locations. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. Visit SmokersHavenNJ.com. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
People.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
It's a source I can trust.
Thank you very much. This portion of our program brought to us in part by Batteries Plus in Northfield, right next to Broadcast Center, and in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And they're one of our WPG industry aces. For your car, truck, marine, RV, camper, golf cart, ATV, mobility scooter, or motorcycle, if you need a battery, they've got it at Batteries Plus. If you need LED emergency lighting, a portable generator, or surge protector, Batteries Plus has them all. If your tablet is broken, your smartphone tablet or smartphone screen, or you need a new battery, they can fix it. They can do it all. Bring it in. They fix it while you wait, from cracked screens to battery replacements, the charge ports that can break, and so much more. 900 Tilton Road in Northfield, Route 73 in Mount Laurel. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you to Batteries Plus.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
And
from Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
All right, let's do this. It's not even 6 minutes past the hour. Joining us on the Hurley in the Morning program is the chairman of the Atlantic County Republican Party, Don Purdy. Mr. Chairman, welcome back to Hurley in the Morning. Hi there.
Good morning, Harry. How are you?
I am very well, and I know you're doing very well because we've been writing about it. We've been talking about it. You are running for a national level position.
Yes, Harry. It's it's called a national. It's called the National Committee. It's the RNC, the Republican National Committee. So you probably have seen it on TV a lot with who the chair and this whole fight's been over replacing the chair or chairwoman the last actually several years because it's always contentious. But how it does it is there's a male and female from every state that is elected, and they're elected by the state committee people, and they are the ones that are the D.C. federal representation. They actually control votes on where we direct money from the national level to where you think the best election campaigns are going on and the best spots to pick up seats. They also control the national convention. It's pretty neat. It's something different.
What can you say about your running mate, Janice Fields?
Janice has been involved a long time. She started as a young Republican up in Somerset. She was a deputy mayor. She is currently a state committee woman. She's very active, and it's great because she's from up north. She's actually from Jack Chitterelli's home neighborhood up there, and I'm from down here, so it gives equal representation through the state. So even though it's a male and female from each state, it's pretty convenient that one's from north and one's from south. So it gives us better coverage of the state in general.
Balance, you might say. I like it.
Sure.
I like it a lot. Is there any word on Bill Palatucci, who is he has served in this position, very close friend of former Governor Chris Christie? It's a 4-year term for those who don't know. And I believe it's a position of great significance with President Trump on the ballot this year. You've got the race for governor next year. And this is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Any word if Bill Palatucci is running or not running?
Well, that's still up in the air. Bill Palatucci's been doing it for 14 years. He started when Governor Christie got into office. So, one thing, Bill Palatucci, he's very intelligent. He's a corporate lawyer. He's been involved a long time. He knows how to count noses. So I would think that when it all comes out, he's probably, I would say, possibly just going to retire. We'll see. As part of the election process, it's closed voting. Everybody calls me, what can I do to help? It's different. This is a different type of voting. It goes off, obviously, the state committee. Now, Atlantic County state committee people is Bob Croce, is our male side, and so that happens in a gubernatorial election.
Yes,
is when that is on the ballot. Cindy Ballas is our female side of the Atlantic County. So every county has 2 representation to the state committee. And that's how there's 42 members, and that's how they are the individuals that actually vote on this.
How does it work? When do people vote? I had heard some things that people were trying to maybe get a little funny with how the voting takes place or when it takes place. From what I gather, I've done a lot of reading on this position, especially now that you're running for it. I want to make myself familiar to it. It's stipulated how this is supposed to be done.
You don't miss too much, do you, Harry?
I try not to.
So how it's been done and by the bylaws, it's supposed to be held after the primary election and before the convention, national convention. So the national convention is in the second week of July, and obviously the first week of June is the primary. So that's when it's supposed to be held. Palatucci was trying to move it possibly till after the election, and it's mainly because President Trump and him do not see eye to eye. He has led a super PAC against President Trump. He's done that for Governor Christie. Governor Christie and him are very close. And, when I decided to do this, Harry.
By the way, almost you'd have to search the whole country to find 2 more rabid anti-Trump people. So let me be the first to say this publicly besides you. You just did. I will blow the whistle from here to everywhere I can if he thinks he can stay and just extend. That would be actually extending his term in a way. It's got to be decided before the election because President Trump is our standard bearer, and there's no way that New Jersey's national committee person should be rabidly anti-President Trump. That's unacceptable.
Well, you're correct on that, and he does not have the votes nowhere near to even think about trying to get that done. Bob Huggins, our state chairman, I came out to me and against it from the beginning. The state committee people are against it. It's not going to happen. And my line is when I call people, I'm like, well, Bill Palatucci has been your national committee person for 14 years, and it's been fine to hold this election at the same time every 4 years. But now when he's having a problem, he wants to move it. It doesn't work that way.
No.
It doesn't work that way. So,
and it's not going to happen, right? That's not going to be allowed.
It's absolutely not going to happen. Not going to happen.
So that tells me, actually, he thinks he's going to lose.
He is going to lose, Harry. And all my friends in politics, which you're good friends with a lot of them, they're like, listen, that person's lying to you, and this person's lying to you. I said, listen, one thing I don't do is sit on the bleachers and wait to see where something falls out. I jump in. And if somebody's going to lie to me, they lie to me. And it's support. You watched it happen back in the day with Frank Blee. Frank thought he had the votes when he went into it. It was county committee. I sat there and had coffee with these people. You have to take people on their whole. And it's politics, right? That's what it is. So I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched, but I feel very confident with this. And, people want to change. If you look back at the election cycle in 21 with Jack Ciattarelli, the federal side, the RNC, did not come swooping in to help New Jersey. This is what they're designed to do. This is what they're supposed to do, because some people in leadership in our party, could be Bill Palatucci, did not think that Jack Ciattarelli was going to win. They didn't like Jack Ciattarelli. If we could have had just that extra pump of money and that extra time, remember the Democrats, as I always say, they print money left and right. Jack Ciattarelli could have been the governor right now. And, one thing as a Republican, if you have a candidate that is a great candidate that works, you should not sleep. You should not leave a rock that's unturned, because we are in the minority. We need every push we could get. And for the National Republican Committee to sit out of that election until the 12th hour was ridiculous. It was uncalled for, and my goal is to not let that happen again.
When we come back, I'm going to bring up, it's not to stir controversy, but I've got to do it. I'm going to bring up Chairman Purdy's counterpart, Mike Suleiman, who anybody that's been a listener to this program knows I have been very fair. I've been very kind to Chairman Suleiman. We've done a lot of interviews on air, and considering that he's of the opposite political party, I've given him much more of a fair shake than any of us ever get with Democrats. But I'm going to remind this audience, I know I need not remind Chairman Purdy, Mike Suleiman would race out with press releases that Jim Curcio should resign, and this one should resign, and that one should resign. Well, we have some of the most horrific child abuse charges in the history of the state of New Jersey. And he is completely silent when it comes to Marty Small and Laquetta Small. I know the reason. Chairman, you know the reason. But I want to bring this up next when we come back. 15 minutes past the hour with Atlantic County Republican Party Chairman Don Purdy. I am Hurley in the Morning.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning.
It's a refreshing drive to work in the morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning.
They stick to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
And we are back. 17 minutes past the hour. A very short break. Not even 2 minutes. We'll take that and not complain. Atlantic County Republican Party Chairman Don Purdy is here. So I teased right before the break, and let me just read this into the public record, and then I know that the chairman will have a comment, because the oozing, dripping with hypocrisy here. I'll share something that's not from that long ago, when Atlantic City Councilman Moorshed had a little difficulty with some criminal charges and allegations about ballot fraud and this and that. Atlantic County Democratic Party Chairman Michael Suleiman wrote, while Councilman Morshed is entitled to a fair and impartial trial, and while everyone is innocent until proven guilty, it is clear that he can no longer effectively represent the residents of Atlantic City's 4th Ward. He needs to resign. Okay, interesting. Immediately, actually, it said. So Alan Rhodes of Atlantic City, this is just delicious. He recreated this. It's the whole thing untouched that Suleiman did, but he put his own. It's really like a machine did it. It's like ugly crossouts and things, and he adds words. So it goes, while Marty and Laquetta, I just realized he spelled Laquetta wrong. While Marty and Laquetta are entitled to a fair and impartial trial, and while everyone is innocent until proven guilty, it is clear that they can no longer effectively represent the residents of Atlantic City. They both need to resign immediately. Well, not a peep out of Chairman Suleiman, Chairman Purdy. Not a word. Still not a word.
Well, I mean, if you look back at even, I don't want to bring old things up, but I'm gonna. When you talk about like Jim Curcio back in the day, about Johnny Carmen. Yeah. These guys are something. I mean, Johnny Carmen was something that was a Facebook meme. I mean, so when it comes down to it, he's like. You ever hear that saying, Harry? I don't know if I can say it on the air, but you got a mouth like a crocodile and a behind like a canary.
Yes.
Well, that's Michael Suleiman. Yes. He's the dog that always barks so loud, but he can't bite anybody.
But here's the thing, though. See if you agree with this. It's pretty simple to me. He can't be Democratic chairman without Atlantic City, and he believes that Marty Small has control of the Atlantic City Democratic Committee. They could easily vote against someone else. I mean, look what they did to Tammy Murphy. So there you have it. So he only comments when it's safe to comment. How can you not comment? I mean, for example, Laquetta Small, I'm not aware. I've been searching for any superintendent in the history of America to be charged with serious child abuse charges and remain active in the position. It's always you are suspended, and many times suspended without pay, sometimes suspended with pay. I wouldn't quibble about that. The Smalls control, Marty Small controls the Board of Education. And by extension, so does Laquetta, in my opinion. But Marty clearly does. He runs the candidates. He controls the board. He got rid of Devlin off the board. He's going to pay for that. And the taxpayers of Atlantic City are going to pay for that. So he has control of these delegates at the committee level as well. So Suleiman calculates, I can't say anything. I can't do the release I did like on Morshed or Curcio or Carmen or anybody else because, I'm going to be out. So I said the other day, I can't listen to him ever again come after anybody because he has remained absolutely silent. This is child abuse allegations, Chairman.
Well, I mean, listen, for all given sake, you have a chairman that's a child. And, I would say that if it was me, I would hope that Chairman Suleiman stays exactly doing what he's doing. I don't want him to change the path because I love him being the chairman of the Atlantic County Democrats. I don't want him to change chairman. So he needs to stay making Marty happy whichever way he wants to do it. So I believe that the problem is when you show a pattern, Harry, and you say, you know what, if I'm the leader of the party and this is the way we're going to conduct ourselves and if something happens, I'm calling for this, it has to be uniform. And obviously it's not. So, people have been calling him out. I mean, I don't know if you've heard it yet, but the New Jersey Education Commissioner, I mean, they're basically saying they're not doing anything.
Oh, I have written about it, and I've spoken about it here. Not basically, literally. They're not taking any action until after the results of this criminal case. That's for Marty and Laquetta. No action whatsoever. Here are my thoughts about this. As I said, I've really tried to find any example around the country, Chairman, where anybody in this position, first of all, the principal of Atlantic City High School was suspended immediately following being criminally charged with a myriad of charges, including second-degree official misconduct. I'm not aware of anywhere that this has been allowed to continue, and you expect it. The Smalls control the Atlantic City Board of Education. They have not spoken a word. Imagine a Board of Education has not spoken a word about this. You expect that. And the Smalls control them. You expect it. I got to tell you, Chairman Purdy, I was going to say Don, I did not expect the state of New Jersey to remain silent and to fail to act. I did not expect that.
Well, especially with the principal. The principal is getting, obviously, paid. She's on paid leave.
Yeah.
And if they would have done the same to the superintendent, she would have been on paid leave. So, they would have been able to still live until innocent proven guilty. So I get that.
The reason you do that is because it's child abuse charges, and you're talking about a position that if a teacher has the allegations, they immediately get suspended. The principal immediately got suspended. I think they're already doing it, but I have called based on the tort claim notice on behalf of the minor child. I'll say no further about that. I have written about it as well, but meaning about the child, but about the issue. They have to now aggressively, and I think they are, but they have to, if they're not, they need to aggressively investigate the Atlantic City High School alternative school, because the minor child, who was the Smalls' daughter's boyfriend, has made allegations that are absolutely explosive in terms of attempts to destroy evidence and all kinds of interference. And this child alleges that he was kept out of school for over a month because they wanted him to turn over property of his, and he would not do it. He was out of school for a month. That all has to now. So what I think is going to happen, Chairman Purdy, is this Constance Days Chapman, that I don't think in any of the days of her life ever would have done what she's done, but she did it for the Smalls, allegedly. This principal over there at the alternative school appears to have done it for the Smalls. They're not only potentially going down the tubes, they're taking people down with them potentially.
Well, if you see the cycle of life over there, Harry, there's all related family members and friends. So, the one thing that Atlantic City does is they're very tight-knit on their employment tree of workers. So that's probably why and how. But, myself, I would not want, if it wasn't me, actually, I wouldn't want to go to jail for anybody. That principal's got two small kids of herself. Your life changes real far when you're getting ready to go to jail. That is horrible. So, to see the way it plays out, I mean, David Castellani is probably one of the sharpest attorneys out there, and I forget how many cases he's got, 8 to 10 against the city of Atlantic City with separate lawsuits with different people. There's a pattern here, Harry, and I think that we need to move past this, and I think this is going to drag on for quite some time. But let's see where we go with this. It's sad.
No doubt about it. This much I feel comfortable saying because I've seen some of the comments he has made on it, and I've talked to him about it as well. If Jack Ciattarelli, and he's going to be governor, had he already been governor, I am absolutely convinced that his commissioner of education, and even before that, his Atlantic County superintendent of schools, would have insisted, if the local board of education did not take action, the state would have taken action, because you can't have it. I'm not after anybody. I just know, as a former school board member myself, it's impossible for someone that has multiple serious criminal child abuse charges to be able to just go to school every day and tour the schools. Hey, I'm here today. Hey, look at me. I mean, this is insanity, Chairman Purdy.
And, Harry, the other thing is, not to change the subject a little bit, but if be in politics. If this was, I hate to say it, but if it was a Republican in any district that was doing this, I believe the governor would have called for a resignation, a removal of some sort. And, I'm not saying that the governor probably wouldn't if somebody asked him. I don't think he's probably going to voluntarily go out and do that. But, the other spin is, you got the mayor in North Jersey, Philip. He's in a bad spot. This whole thing is...
by the way, let's say why he's got a bad spot. Marty Small is the co-chairman of Phillip's gubernatorial campaign. He has not spoken a word about Marty Small. This is crazy.
Well, and that's why I say this is a lot more than just, 2 or 3 individuals that, having a problem. I think that, I'm not, believe me, one thing, and then you watched, I don't really discuss this because of being a child, is I'm just happy it's not on our side, because I would have had to do things that probably wouldn't be as pleasant to do.
Chairman, we're going to step aside for just a moment. I understand what you're saying. We'll be right back. Don't go away. 29 minutes past the hour on the Hurley in the Morning program, and this portion of our program brought to us in part by United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City. Their spring market is right around the corner, Friday, May 24th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Browse booths, a variety of crafts and merchandise. You can enter a floral wreath contest, enjoy free ice cream, yum, and live music from the Ralph Michaels Sounds of Sinatra. If you're considering senior living options for yourself or a loved one, I recommend United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City. Why? They're fully remodeled with private apartments, 2 restaurants, a bistro on the first floor, on-site fitness center, and the Tapestries Memory Care residence. Best of all, it's just 3 short blocks from the Ocean City Beach and Boardwalk. Celebrate the season with the Shore Spring Market with crafts, vendors, ice cream, live music, and more. Friday, May 24th from 10 to 3 at the Shores, located at 2201 Bay Avenue in Ocean City. To learn more about United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City, call 609-399-8505. That's 609-399-8505, and please tell them that Hurley in the Morning sent you. Back with Atlantic County Republican Party Chairman Don Purdy right after this.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
30 minutes past the hour with Don. I'm Harry. I have 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. I am calling for an expansion. I think they're already doing it, but I'm calling for it in case they're not. An expansion of the Atlantic City Mayor criminal probe, and I back it up with a lot of content. Check it out. Longtime Atlantic City High School athletic director, actually at a time even Atlantic City Public Schools athletic director Frank Campo has passed away.
John.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. A bit of fog shrouding South Jersey this morning. For now, temperatures are close to yesterday's highs in the 50s, but we are set to warm up today. Look for a high of 71 with lots of clouds and hit or miss showers around too. Mostly cloudy with patchy fog tonight. A few showers and thunderstorms possible, low 58. Chance of showers early and late tomorrow. It'll be partly sunny and warm for your Tuesday, high 73. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. This is an important safety.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
People.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
And we're back. It's 35 minutes past the hour. Atlantic County Republican Party Chairman Don Purdy continues. All right, Mr. Chairman, you entertained topics that were of interest to me, and I'm sure they were of interest to you as well. Time is yours. Something you want to talk about.
Well, I almost forgot about it during the first half hour. But, our friend Uncle George from up at the Camden side, he was a DNC, the Democrat National Convention.
Oh, yeah.
He was a committeeman. And
Hey, listen, I know you will agree with this, and I've said it and I've written it so many different times. George Norcross is a political potentate. I mean, as being non-elected, I mean, I guess chairman, technically hybrid, it's an election, but pretty much considered to be unelected, has wielded incredible political power.
But the funny thing I was going to get at was he loved it so much that when he moved to Florida, he never even gave it up, and he thought he could keep it.
Keep the New Jersey.
Yeah, and because he enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing, obviously, on the Republican side. But I was thinking about it during the break. I'm like, Norcross had it as a Democrat, and he didn't even want to give it up when he moved.
Well, it is. I think it's a position of honor. It's a position of prestige, and I think it's a position of substance. It really matters. I mean, you get to do something at the very highest level when it comes to presidential elections. It's a big deal.
And it gives you access to the White House, so it gives you brings your, if it's New Jersey, which we are, it brings us an avenue to be able to get ourselves in a position. Of course, if it's Republican, New Jersey sometimes is a little tough with that, but it gives us the ability to do things. Plus, it helps our congressional races. But anyway, let's talk about the number one thing we're happening this week, which is the Trump rally in Wildwood.
Yes,
I think it's going to be off the hook. Being on the beach, I hope the weather works with us here. Let's see what happens, what Mother Nature thinks. I think it will. I think it's going to be probably in the low 60s, the high 50s, maybe at that, a little breezy, but it'll be on the beach. I don't know what they're expecting. I would say there's probably going to be over 20,000 people there.
Yeah, a lot of people are doubling that. I mean, last time it was only limited by how many the Wildwood. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, why aren't you doing it in the Wildwood Convention Center?" Because it only holds like about 9,000 people. There was 15,000 people outside, and it's still a record. 175,000 people requested tickets back in 2020. So this is a really big deal. And when you consider the fact that Trump is going to make it closer, but that most people don't even believe that New Jersey is in play, that he is coming to do this event, says a lot about us and a lot about Van Drew. And we're fortunate that something like this is happening because especially, they're stealing like 6-8 weeks of his life, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, with the fake trial in New York, trying to make him a convicted felon so that they can then yell that from the top of the chandelier. So him coming to Wildwood this Saturday, and let me take a quick peek. I think we're going to be okay, too. I agree with you. The temperature is going to be on the cooler side, but in a way, though, if you're out there, like a lot of people are going to be waiting for hours and hours. If it was an 80-some degree sunny day, that would not necessarily be great. Right now, 16% chance of rain, and the high will be about 60, 62. Low only 49, so it's not going to be cold. It'll always be at least in the 50s. Let's see. Partly cloudy is the forecast, and the wind out of the northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. So honestly, it could be better, but it also could be a whole lot worse.
And Harry, I think that, you said it, Jeff Van Drew is definitely our rock star.
Oh, yeah.
If Jeff was not the congressman, the president would not be coming.
Impossible.
So, thank you to Jeff Van Drew for doing this. And, I think it's going to bring aside, last time, Harry, I know you were down there. No problems.
No.
You seen? No,
I called it the safest street in America. There wasn't a bad word said all day, all night. It was fantastic.
And I believe probably the same will happen here. Obviously, listen, anymore with these crazy protesters and these, even some of these crazy ones in the colleges, which I want to talk about too when I'm done. These Looney Tunes. You get some of that nonsense going on down there. There could be some problems, but it's not going to be from the Trump people. It's just that the Play-Doh vendors and everybody else. These guys have major problems I remember when we did the Donald Trump Jr. event in Galloway Township. Michael Suleiman and his cast of characters, all of his, as you would say, his Rock Me Gently fan club, hanging out with him with the warm milk and everything else. They thought they were going to be cute. They had, there's 60, 70 people. They thought they were great. And let me tell you what, they had voters for Trumps and bikers for Trumps and truckers for Trumps. And there had to be, I'm not even lying because I still have the video, there had to be probably 700 people out there. And Michael Suleiman felt like the troll that he was. He was a little guy over there, trying to scream. He had his little banner, whatever he had, and they looked so ridiculous. But they stayed on one side of the street, and the other one stayed on the other side of the street. And again, the only time there was a problem over there is with some of these protesters or the paid protesters trying to stab people.
Yeah, agitators, Chairman. Let's get the final break in. When we come back, you can finish up there, and we can transition to the protesters. It's been disgraceful to watch these would we have ever believed? Now, we're from the other party, but would we ever have believed that there would be a pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party and that Joe Biden is afraid to lose it? So they've been trashing Israel. It is almost beyond comprehension that this is the Democrats' base. They know they have to win Michigan, so they've got to keep their pro-Hamas squad faction of the party happy. So they're actually holding out, giving Israel ammunition that they need at a time of war. And Gerald Nadler, during a time of war, calling Israel our greatest ally in the Middle East, and really probably our greatest ally. We have two that you would call special, the United Kingdom and Israel, but Israel probably our greatest ally. And you have that fat Nadler, the audacity to actually say that Netanyahu is the worst Israeli leader in 2,000 years. This guy is sick and getting sicker. We'll be right back. This portion of Early in the Morning brought to us in part by Congress Hall, which has been entertaining presidents, musicians, artists, dignitaries, and other esteemed guests, and you, and me, and Purdy, for over 200 years. Congress Hall stands as the grandest of them all in Cape May, New Jersey, an icon of relaxed elegance and warm hospitality, and they have welcomed generations of travelers since 1816. 1816. There's American charm from the moment you walk through the door, the marble-floored lobby, the American flags that even before you walk in that you can see, and the ones that line the whole History Hallway, which is an awesome place to go read about everything from the Great Fire in Cape May to all kinds of things. History, it's wonderful. History of Congress Hall, history of Cape May. And it's going to feel like your own little cottage by the sea. They used to call it that hundreds of years ago. It's paired with amenities of a world-class resort. Every restoration that Curtis Bashaw has done has kept the character of Congress Hall, making you feel like you've been transformed and gone back in time to where Margie says that one night at Congress Hall is like a vacation. Healthy indulgences at Congress Hall Sea Spa, farm fresh favorites at the Blue Pig Tavern. You can have cocktails at the Brown Room Lounge, pizza and other great food down in the boiler room, and of course the brick oven pizza, which is some of the best pizza in the state of New Jersey. It's wonderful. In other words, Congress Hall has it all. And right now, the spring midweek stay means less crowds and a better rate. Book your stay at caperesorts.com/Congress Hall. Congress Hall is America's first seaside resort. Tell them. Tell Curtis. Tell the entire team that Early in the Morning sent you. Back with Chairman Purdy right after this. It's 45 minutes past the hour.
Early in the Morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person that can make sense of what's happening in Atlantic City.
On WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG. Hurley in the morning.
Not only the news, but perspective too.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you for that. 48 minutes past the hour, almost 49 minutes past the hour. So we have until the top of the hour uninterrupted. Mayor Kane is right now, he is not even a firm maybe. He is a maybe. He may make it. He may not make it. So we will pivot however we have to in the event that Mayor Kane is not able to be with us. We will have some open forum, and I'd like to maybe take the first few minutes if Mayor Kane isn't here to share my thoughts about the passing of Frank Campo, which really broke my heart. I'm sensitive about the loss that everyone experiences when a family member or someone close to you passes, and when it happens to you, that someone that's been your coach, your teacher, your friend for more than 50 years, this one hurts a lot. So I've shared some thoughts on the digital platform of WPG Talk Radio 95.5 over the weekend on Saturday, on actually the day that Frank passed away. Got cheated, got 76 years. That's not nearly enough of having Frank in this life. What a difference maker. So we'll share some thoughts about him if Mayor Kane isn't here at the beginning. It's undecided at this point whether he can make it or not. He's trying. Chairman Purdy, what else do you have?
Well, Harry, I mean, listen, I know you talked about it a little earlier when we start talking about these protests, especially when you're talking about on the college scenes, when you have, Rutgers, state-funded university here in New Jersey. This is ridiculous, Harry. All they should do is clear it out. This whole thing of worrying about somebody's feelings. Listen, I don't mind people protesting. That is the right of this country to do. But when they stand in the middle of the street, obviously I'm against it.
But it's not protest, though, when they're saying death to Israel and from this and that to the sea and all these different things. This was not free speech. They broke windows. They broke into campuses. This was criminal activity. And, Chairman, the American president didn't speak a word for like 2 weeks.
Right. And so my point being is we have law enforcement. And one of the reasons when we talk about why did Atlantic County do so good last time, because we said one of the things we said we were going to do. Sheriff O'Donoghue said, I am going to bring law enforcement back. That is what we're going to concentrate on. We are going to make, whatever it might be, this country's built on law and order. And this is the most ridiculous thing in the world. This is stuff you see happening in a third world country, Harry, and it shouldn't be happening here in the United States. If they want to do peaceful protests is one thing, but a lot of these students that are doing this, they're on other people's dimes. And if they're from another country and they're here, pack them up, get rid of them. If they're here and they're on some kind of assistance, get rid of them. If they're a rich family, get rid of them. It doesn't matter. If you look at the colors of their skin, this is not racially motivated that way. These are mostly white kids doing this. This is not something that they're saying that it could be, we can't do this because we're going to hurt somebody's feelings.
And the majority of them, as you know, are paid agitators.
Yes, absolutely, Harry. And we should be...
Where do you think they got all those pallets and all the plywood and all the zip ties and all? It was just like the Summer of Love. It happened here. I remember reporting on air. We were on air live when the riot was going on. They had pallets of bricks drop shipped. They had all their materials provided for them. These are Democrat operations, Chairman.
That's not a lie, Harry. And I'll tell you, we've been dealing, my family, with the Stockton University for years now with one of my businesses. And let me tell you, as great as these students are and the education that these guys are, they have no forward thinking to do any of this stuff. So
no.
This is something that is brought in from an outside. It's like giving candy to a baby. They're trying to program these kids, and they're doing it. They're bringing outside people in that know how to do it. And our government's just sitting on their hands. And, for the state of New Jersey to be funding Rutgers is ridiculous.
Oh, it's terrible. They should be defunded. What's your prediction? We had the Summer of Love in the run-up to 2020. A lot of people believe that we're going to have something similar to that. Now, I have a different take, though. That was when Trump was the president, and they wanted to make America look broken, and that you've got to make this crazy go away. And please put calm Joe Biden in. You know, Trump's the one's going to get us into wars, and Trump's the one that's going to be this and that. And yet Trump was the opposite. He was no drama, no wars, no Ukraine, Russia, Iran, North Korea. Everybody was pretty buttoned down and afraid of Trump. There was certainly no Ukraine of Afghanistan debacle like we saw. And so I predict the Democrats, there's no way they want this is like 1968 all over again. They don't want at their Democratic National Convention these people chanting like LBJ, how many babies have you killed today? They're chanting Genocide Joe and all these things. So my prediction is they don't want these protests this time. They paid for them last time. They paid for the violent criminals, and this was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as well. They paid for them to get bailed out so that they could do more violence. I say they don't want that this time, but they're going to get it anyhow.
Well, you're right, Harry. I mean, if you look at the statistics of how this stuff happens, and I go back to the one event that happened in Galloway, this person that was doing this crazy stuff goes from protest to protest. They're professional protesters. Our police department confirmed it by their arrest records and everything else. And this is what you have going on. The FBI should be on this, because this is hate crimes. But the Democrats, this is backfiring on them because you're right. They do not want this. If anything, one thing with President Trump was law and order. You had none of this chaos going on in the world. You had none of these, Russia ready to blast Ukraine with a nuclear bomb. With Israel, Hamas, you had none of this stuff going on. He sent the Tomahawk missiles over there. They don't want this. They do not want this, but it's here. And this is the kind of chaos that this country's in. And we are bigger than this. We are. The United States is bigger than this. This country has been built on the standards of brick and mortar with law and order, and that's the way it's going to have to go back to, whether you like it or you don't. Families, there's families out there, they don't want their kids exposed to this, Harry.
No. By the way, because in case we don't meet on air, we'll certainly talk off air, but in case we don't meet again on air until after the jury verdict in this fake New York City, by the way, they call it a hush trial, even though the government's own witnesses, the state's own witnesses, said it's not hush money. I mean, this is incredible what they're getting away with here. It's just wild. Trump with gag orders, but Michael Cohen and others, they can say whatever they want. They trash Trump, but he can't respond. I mean, it's so unconstitutional. It's so bad. But it is New York City. And they only had 10 preemptory challenges. So they got a lot of people in this jury that they would have never picked had they had more challenges. How do you think it's going to go? Will the president be acquitted? Will it be a hung jury? Or do you think he will be found guilty? And, of course, if he's found guilty, people don't know this. You do. You're not a convicted felon until you're sentenced. But the moment he's convicted, the Democrat media will say the former president is a convicted felon. They can now say, for the first time in American history, the convicted felon, which will be completely inaccurate. But Merchan won't wait long to sentence him because they want to maximize between now and November 5th, being able to call him a convicted felon. Which way is it going to go? There's only 3 ways it can go. What are your thoughts?
If I was a betting man, I would probably say it's going to be a hung jury. I can't picture all of them being lockstep with that. It has been a lot of nonsense that's going on. But there is appeal processes, Harry. And,
But the problem is the appeals will not be done before November 5th. And even if they are, it's going to be a while. And that means for months they're going to be able to say, oh, I can't even debate now. I can't debate a convicted felon. Come on. You can't elect a convicted felon. What's he going to, good night in prison? The Secret Service agents are going to be living in prison, and we're going to have a president in prison? Because, Merchan will sentence him as quick as he can. He might even do something outrageous like not allow him to remain free pending the appeal, which would be absolutely outrageous, but he could do that. And he probably will do that. Maybe that would expedite Trump to be able to get out of there. But what this is. and I know what this is. They desperately want to change the game because they can't win under the current playing field rules. They're losing. They're losing badly. Joe Biden's approval rating today, Chairman, is 35%, the lowest in American history. They desperately want to be able to say that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. That's the whole game here.
Well, I don't think that the Democrats, and again, the reason why, you would see Biden in there is because they didn't vote with Biden. Of course, we all talk about this for the last 4 years. They voted against Trump. This is the most screwed up election I think I've ever seen. Trump is got all of this legal issues going on.
Yep.
And he is still
all what they call lawfare, all created by Democrats.
All created.
And every one of them has a Biden DOJ person involved with Georgia, with Bragg, with obviously with the special counsel. I mean, it's so transparent. 10 seconds.
President Trump gets back into office. The cleansing you're going to see in D.C. is going to be...
it's going to be colonic.
Mr. Clean has never done it.
There you go. Rotor-rooter, colonic. You name it.
It's going to go down like a fishbowl.
Colonoscopy coming.
Everybody's going to be running. It's going to be like turning the lights on and the rats are going to be running all over the place.
Good to be with you, Chairman.
Thank you, Harry.
Take care.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation.
That's right.
Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
It is 6 minutes past the hour, and it's a game time decision whether Mayor Kane will make it or not. We'll keep you posted. If you want to jump in, 609-407-1450. We'll open phone lines. Let me just have the first minutes of the hour, though, because it does give me an opportunity to share some thoughts about the passing of Frank Campo, one of the most modest, decent, good people that you could ever know. And this one hurts really bad. Frank Campo passed away this past Saturday at the age of 76. And I'm telling you, until the time of his passing, shortly before his passing, phenomenal shape his entire life. He golfed in the Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open, I believe, if not all of the first 16 years, all but maybe like one. I don't know of one that he missed. I think he might have had a perfect track record, and we already had been talking about this year's. I've known Frank Campo since I was about 10 years old, and he knew that I would be coming in about 3 or 4 years to run for Atlantic City High School. My older brother had done so before me, and Frank was such a substantial figure in my life from such an early age. He's one of those rare people that you're lucky to have had in your life for nearly a lifetime. Frank was my teacher, head track coach at Atlantic City High School, and a true mentor. We won Atlantic City High School's, and this is still to this day, Atlantic City High School's only South Jersey Conference track championship in 1975 with Frank Campo as the head coach. That was before he became athletic director. Frank Campo was one of the most honorable, decent, and generous, fine gentlemen that you could ever know. Campo served as a teacher and a head coach, of course, and an athletic director at Atlantic City High School for more than 43 years. Campo's dedication as a teacher, head coach, and director of athletics was unparalleled. It was an honor to know Frank, honor to be friends, honor to run for Frank Campo. Frank Campo loved to win, but he did so the right way. No shortcuts. He was focused on competing the right way with honesty and integrity. the NJSIAA, Southern New Jersey athletic directors, and the coaching community has lost a giant. Campo's quiet leadership, his style, so rare, yet so successful. He led in a manner that let everyone else around him shine. And he was really good at transferring all the credit to everyone else, but yet shouldering all the blame when something perhaps didn't go right, even if it wasn't his fault. As the leader, he took responsibility for it. Frank's son, Mike, wrote a beautiful post about his father, and we shared it on our digital platform in the piece that we wrote. And Mike wrote, "My world changed forever today. My father, best friend, and greatest mentor passed away. He was an incredible man that touched the lives of so many. He will be deeply missed, but his legacy and lessons he taught us will remain. I will see you in my dreams, Dad." I reached out to both of my brothers, who also were more than 50-year friends with Frank and also student athletes under Frank Campo as our head coach. I'll share Jay's comment first. Had the great fortune to have Frank Campo as my coach, mentor, and close friend for more than 50 years. True Atlantic City icon who touched and made a difference to so many people. Don wrote, "One of the most important people in my life since I was 14 years old. Frank Campo was my mentor and track coach at Atlantic City High School and a lifelong friend since. A legend in high school sports and beyond." And I also have a really cool, it is an iconic photo, and I'll tell you why. I don't remember the year. Somebody texted me that was there, but it was a little while ago. And this is a photo of a very special reunion of the 1975 championship team. So you either had to be an athlete on the team or one of the coaches to be at this event. And legends are in this photo. And this is the part that it just hurts so bad, though. The front row, all of our coaches, and only one of them out of 5 are still alive. All of them are gone. Ben Castor, I'm going to do it in the order of the photo, left to right. Ben Castor, gone. Our cross-country assistant coach. George Dennis, absolute, just iconic legend, gone. John Sarkis, another legend, gone. Frank Campo, it's impossible for me to believe this has happened, gone. And then right next to Frank is Wayne Nelson, who is fit as he was as a high school gym teacher or a high school coach. He is the only one of the 5 still with us. And then I'll tell you what, I look behind there, and boy, do I see some amazing legends of Atlantic City track from 1975. Incredible. Arnold Fields, Brian King, Tim Tolbert. There's Spiros Gaetanos, Chris Bracey. There's actually somebody I need help. I don't recognize one person that's in this photo. Steve Bragg. 2 in the back I'm going to need help on, but only because the photo is blurry and I can't make out the faces. Jill Sackert is in the photo, and the 3 Hurley brothers in the photo. What a night. I still remember. What a night. Just being around all your coaches, and it was really, really special. We extend our deepest condolences to Frank's wife, Karen, to Michael, Matt, the entire Campo family. It's very close family, both the immediate and extended family, very close, the Campo family. Campo was a championship caliber football, track, and wrestling athlete, and Frank Campo made such a huge difference during his lifetime. He will be missed. Take a brief time out. We'll come back if you want to join the program. Open forum. Again, Mayor Kane's attendance today remains in doubt. Unavoidably detained. And he said he may make it. He may not. So you can call in 609-407-1450 if you'd like to, and we'll take your calls next. We'll be back in just a little bit. This is...
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Brigantine. Mays Landing. EHT. Ocean City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. South Jersey's talk station. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Wake up weekday mornings with Hurley in the morning.
This is the stuff we need to talk about.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's 19 minutes past the hour. Feel free to jump in. 609-407-1450 in what has become bonus open forum, which we love. We're what's it called? We're nimble. We can change. If someone that we're expecting and we've show prep for can't make it, we adapt. 609-407-1450. Don't let this one knock you over with a feather. But I've always believed, I know it's going to sound a little bit cornball, but I always have believed in the concept, absence makes the heart grow fonder. It is invariably true. And I know we've all heard this expression, but NPR just reported that some Democrats have nostalgia for Trump. That's sort of a little bit of open code, if you will, for they miss him. But what they pretty much miss, though, is accessibility, a president that's actually engaged, a president that holds press conferences, a president that allows himself to be put on the spot, the president that goes to the rope line and always takes questions, the president that holds regular press conferences, the president that doesn't wait, like in East Palestine, a year and more to go and to even comment 2 weeks after bad things happen. Our president just waits. Our president in name only. Let's be fair about this. We don't have a president. We have the great teleprompter of the United States, and we have the cue cards. We don't have a president. 609-407-1450 in case the person that just called me on my cell phone meant to call on the air. 609-407-1450. So under this notion, and I'm a believer of it, of absence makes the heart grow fonder, when someone that you maybe didn't give a fair chance to, that did a much better job than he got credit for, that you now can compare directly what you felt like then versus what you feel like now, it's not a surprise to me. But we see more and more of this. And that's because they know we can't continue with this. You can't have another 4 years. And keep in mind, the mental acuity degradation of the past 3.5 years is so dramatically sharp. Imagine what's going to happen in the next 1, 2, 3, and 4 years. So really, the American people have to understand you basically have two choices. It's not going to be Bobby Kennedy Jr., it's not going to be Cornell Davis. It's not going to be Jill Stein. Your choices are President Trump or Joe Biden. That's your choices. And I believe that much like Reagan and Carter, when the media said on Friday before Election Day that Carter was poised and going to win a re-election, it was just a matter of how big would it be. And President Reagan went on, then candidate Reagan went on to an incredible blowout victory because the American people knew. High energy, high inflation, just like today. This election to me is eerily similar, not to the 1968 election between Nixon and Humphrey, but the atmosphere of 1968 when President Lyndon Baines Johnson stepped out. Biden's got the chance, Genocide Joe, LBJ, how many babies are you going to kill today? He had that. It's eerily similar, astonishingly similar to 1968 in terms of the issues. A lot of strife, like we see now with these horrific pro-Hamas losers that are doing what they're doing. They're anti-Israel, anti-Semitic stuff. That's why I'm a huge fan of the Anti-Semitism Support Act. I'm a big fan of Alan Dershowitz's new legal cause, Hurt a Jew, We Sue You, quote, unquote. Love it. Absolutely love it. Let's go to your call, 609-407-1450. Welcome to the Hurley in the Morning program. Hi there.
Hey, Harry, it's the Gooch.
Whoa, what's going on, Ken?
How's it going, Harry? Good. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in about Frank Campo.
Please.
Harry, you and I and Don sat together at lunch for 2 years in my time at Atlantic High. Frank Campo was never a coach of mine. I didn't have him as a teacher for any class or anything like that, and that's 40 years ago. Okay, so backtrack to 2000.
By the way, it's actually closer to 50 years ago, but go ahead.
Well, yes, okay, so fast forward to 2010, my son goes into Atlantic High. As we all know, my son was a pretty good wrestler at Atlantic City High School, and I walk into the gym for the first wrestling match of my son's high school career. Now, again, I remind you, I did not have Frank Campo as a teacher or as a coach or as anything. He was just a guy I walked past in the hallway. And I walk into the gym, and he walks up to me, and he says to me, point blank, not hello, not how you doing. He says to me, that's your son. Right. He says to me, that's your son.
He knew it.
I was like, yes.
And he knew it because that's the kind of person that he was. He took an interest in people.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know that he knew me, let alone knew who my son was. And that's always stuck with me. When I started coaching with Thomas Kelly at Atlantic High, it was like Frank Campo and I were best friends during my time at Atlantic High.
Yeah, Ken, let me say something about that. It's not a surprise to me because it's Frank's nature to be like that he knows how important the parents are to the student athlete, to their child, and also, too, he pays such keen attention. Notice I'm not talking about him in the past tense. He pays such keen attention to the gymnasium, if it's a wrestling match or if it's outside at a track meet or a football game. He pays such attention to what's going on that he knows who's there. And he had that way about him.
Yes, and that was the other thing, Harry, that I was going to get to. And this is not to slight the athletic director now, okay? But there was that little difference where as an athlete you tell that something was different today than it was yesterday. And this is not a slight on Chris Ford at all, but Frank Campo had such attention to detail, and you didn't realize how much attention to detail he had until he wasn't there anymore.
And by the way, it's not a slight to Chris. Chris is a friend. Chris is a really good guy. I loved his dad. And Chris is a fine athletic director. Frank had something like 50 more years of experience. So in fairness, and this is not a cut on Chris Ford Jr., Chris Ford Jr. can't tie Frank's shoes at this stage, even now. And he has a lot of years now, but nowhere near Frank's experience. And then Frank is the perfect mentor because there are people that used to hold the job that sort of stay like a shadow nightmare. Frank never did any of that stuff. If you needed to have a question answered, he would quietly talk to you, behind the scenes, do nothing to undermine, always to lift up and to help. I mean, just a really role model example of what a great dad, a great husband, great granddad, coach, teacher, athletic director, just a great example of just excellent practices in all aspects of life.
Absolutely correct. And when I finally did come on, and that was the other thing, I wanted to call when Bobby Weiss was on. Bobby Weiss asked me to help coach the football team almost every year. And because of my work status, I couldn't. And then when Thomas Kelly came over and I finally got on the coaching staff for the football team at Atlantic High, you got to see all the little things, all the unpublicized little things that Frank Campo did that helped us all to be successful, all of us.
Well, like you're saying, the behind the scenes things, Gooch, your transportation and all the things you need procured and for the program and whatever it might be, he always had everything organized. He was fantastic in terms of his attention to detail, as you talked about.
Hear him raise his voice, because I never did.
Nah, I mean, occasionally, maybe like as a coach, but that was more because he needed to be heard in outdoor setting.
Right.
It was never.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right. He never ever. If he had to talk to you about something that would be like progressive discipline or, coaching to you, he would always do it in a way that would not be in front of the team and not hurt anyone and, always to make you better.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what he did. And again, you didn't realize all the little things that he did behind the scenes. I never heard the man raise his voice one time.
Nah, because he didn't.
As a coach at Atlantic High.
No.
And so I'm going to miss him just from that level, and bet your backside the Gooch is going to be there on Friday.
It's actually Monday.
I'll be there Monday.
Yeah, a week from today. All right, Gooch. Take
All
care.
right, thanks,
See you, my friend. Good to talk to you. 609-407-1450 open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. Glad you called. You're on the air.
Good morning, Harry. I just wanted to, if you don't mind, talk about the Green New Deal and how these people, if you can call them people, said unless you pass the Green New Deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Andrea, by the way, is it still new or should we call it the Green Old Deal now?
Yeah.
I remember I read something the other day, and it's true. Al Gore, when he was talking about this, I forget exactly what part of the world it was, but that this whole ice shelf was going to be gone by 2014. It's still really icy and still really cold, and it's still really there more than a decade after Al Gore said it would cease to be there.
Well, not only that, Harry, but, in their encampments, the tree-hugging lovers, if you will, and look how they left their campgrounds. These slobs are worried about Mother Earth. I mean, this Green New Deal, it's what are the words I'm looking for? Like I always say, if you're going to go camping, leave the campsite like you found it, as if nobody ever had been there at all.
Yes.
And they've done it over and over again. Look at how sloppy slobs they are. And this other thing I wanted to say, I always bring this up with you because I am a Jew, and what I'm tired of, is we've done it to ourselves. We've done it to ourselves. Insofar as you got Schumer, Blumenthal. By the way, Blumenthal, who lied about his service, he said, about what he was when he was out of the country. He never left the country.
Yeah.
He didn't have to lie about his service.
By the way, Andrea, tell me if you know the answer to this because I don't, but I want to say I think he is. Gerald Nadler is also Jewish, correct?
Oh, yeah, Fat Nadler.
Right, so Fat Nadler has called the prime minister during a time of war the commander-in-chief of our greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East. He has called him the worst leader in 2,000 years. How can these people do this? They don't even say that about Iran or Russia or North Korea, but they will say it about Republicans or they will say it about Netanyahu. They're pretty sick.
Yeah, well, the educated is Judaism is 5,758 years old. So I don't get the 2,000 years. But it's
well, he's an idiot. He's going, AD, BC, and AD because he's an idiot.
Well, he is an idiot. So I would only say this. I told you when I was at that synagogue in Ventnor, and this is when Obama won the election, and my question to Bob Woodward was, how many of you voted, knowing how much Obama doesn't like Israel, how many of you voted for them? 99.99% of every hand went up. So I have no sympathy for when Schumer gets up there. And it's insane. And they're going to vote for Democrats again. And by the way, it's 2.8% of our population is Jewish in the United States. It's unimaginable, but I hate to say it.
And Andrea, also, Biden is withholding ammunition that Israel desperately needs. He's holding it back. No American president has ever done this.
Think of all the stuff in Afghanistan we left that could have come in handy.
And, of course. And also remember how many billions both Obama, Biden, and now Biden, how many tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars they have given to Iran to sponsor terrorism around the world.
Yeah, in cash, all right, in the middle of the night,
yeah,
on pallets at the airport.
Correct.
Off it went. Thank you, Harry.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you. And, yeah, it was both American dollars, $100 bills, and euros. Unmarked, unlit, secret airstripped, pallets of cash. I'll tell you how this is allowed to continue is just beyond anything that I can comprehend. 34 minutes past the hour. If you'd like to jump in, phone lines are open, and we have 32 minutes until almost the birthday boy. Tomorrow is Brian Kilmeade's birthday. Hey, you know what? I got to double check. I think he might already, I'm thinking he might be 60, either 59 or 60. I'm trying to remember, things go so fast that maybe he has hit 60 already, but it could be a milestone birthday. But I do know that tomorrow is Brian Kilmeade's birthday. We'll be back. Don't go away. 34 minutes past the hour on the station that plays the winners. WPG Talk Radio, 95.5. Tell a friend. We'll be right back. 609-407-1450. First one in, first one up. Phone lines are open.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's the topics that matter to me.
WPG Talk Radio, 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
It's well-balanced conversation.
WPG Talk Radio, 95.5.
Hey, we're back. It's 37 minutes past the hour. Thanks for waking up early in the morning. Brian Kilmeade on deck in 29 minutes. And I phoned a friend during the break, Chris Coleman with a Lifeline, my reference to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which I loved when Regis Philbin was the host. Not so much when Meredith Vieira did it, but she wasn't bad. Just it's like certain things. Just some people just like Bob Barker. Come on already. Drew Carey is like 0.1% of Bob Barker. Wayne Brady, who is hilariously funny, but one of the worst game show hosts I've ever seen. He's like 1% of Monty Hall on Let's Make a Deal. So anyhow, we did phone a friend during the break. Chris, thank you. Chris Coleman. And Brian Kilmeade, it is a milestone birthday, which I kind of stumbled and bumbled around in my little mini monologue. And it is indeed a milestone birthday, number 60 for Brian tomorrow. So wish Brian a happy birthday tomorrow. He's on Facebook. He's all over the place, all the different platforms. So Juan Merchan is saying the $1,000 fines are not working. Last week he said he wishes he could have fined him more. This is a guy that just has no regard for the Constitution whatsoever. He should not be a judge. He should actually have ethics charges filed against him. I want to see the day that a lot of these bad actors, and I'm calling them bad actors, Juan Merchan, Fannie Willis, Jack Smith, the whole gang, the whole Peanuts gallery, that they have their day in court because they have been awful. So Judge Merchan at 9:32 a.m. this morning, that was 7 minutes ago, said that the gag order violations are a direct attack on the rule of law. How about your whole, we need Al Pacino to come out and start ranting about this whole thing. It's terrible that he has allowed Michael Cohen to trash President Trump, a witness in the case. But that's not a threat to our system. It's just so completely just ridiculous. And he said last week he wishes he could have fined him more. But guess what? You're not allowed to. That's the law. The law is that it's 1,000. I wish you weren't on the case, but you are. Your daughter's a Democrat operative, you are disqualified from being able to be the judge, and you know it. And yet he's on the case. So you wish you could fine him more than $1,000 for each violation of your bogus gag law? Remember, too, like the right to a speedy trial is the right of the defendant. It's not the right of the government. Defense teams are supposed to be able to say that, look, we have 1 million, we have 3 million, we have 5 million documents to go through. We need more time. And by unbiased, fair, and impartial jurists grant the defense more time, because the whole point is for the defendant to get a fair trial. But you have these Democrat judges, they actually call out and say about the state has a right to a speedy trial. That's exactly opposite of the truth. The right to a speedy trial is the right of a defendant, and that is in case the government is slow walking a prosecution for any number of reasons. You know, this thing, he wishes he could do this and he wishes he could do that. You know, gag orders are also supposed to benefit the defendant, and yet they misuse them in this lawfare era that we live in. Remember, my friend Roger Stone got hit with the one that was very famous. Same people, New York, bad actors, giving gag orders to defendants. The gag order is supposed to protect the defendant. If you have people making reckless statements about them, they've turned it on defendants in this completely deadwood era that we live in. 609-407-1450 phone lines are open. We will have one more segment of completely surprise bonus open forum right after the break. Don't go away. Mayor Kane unavoidably detained today. We'll be back. 609-407-1450. In between your calls, I promise you, we have days and days and days worth of content. We'll be back. More Hurley in the Morning right after this.
You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
I listen every morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. Are you still on the fence about owning gold? It's time to pull the trigger with the Oxford Gold Group and buy gold and silver. Nobody can predict the future, but we can't put our head in the sand either. The Oxford Gold Group are the pros. They make owning gold and silver simple and easy to understand. Call Oxford Gold Group right now and you may qualify for up to $10,000 in free precious metals. Call 833-995-GOLD. That's 833-995-GOLD.
Hurley in the Morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Now, that lady knows exactly what she's talking about, so don't listen to me, but please listen to her. She really gets it. This portion of Hurley in the Morning, pleased to report, brought to us in part by Ambient Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning Professionals, and you will love their service. You will love the job that they do, and I'm telling you, we're catching such a break. It still looks like it's going to be low 60s for quite a while, usually by now. It's much warmer than this. It must be global cooling that's going on. I'm just kidding. But right now, not when you're sweaty, right now, when you're sweaty and miserable, a lot of people are going to be all calling at the same time. Call now. Schedule your tune-up. If you're a new customer to Ambient Comfort, they haven't raised the rate in a year. It's the same as last year. $59 for new customers. Repairs tend to be easier when you get to them sooner. It just stands to reason. So call them now at 609-568-0955, 609-568-0955, or you can digitally make your contact as well at AmbientComfortNJ.com, AmbientComfortNJ.com, and their expert certified technicians. We do it every year twice. They will do a thorough precision tune-up. You're going to know exactly where your system stands. If it can't be repaired, they'll tell you. If it can be repaired, they'll do it. 609-568-0955. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you. AmbientComfortNJ.com. 609-407-1450, open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Hello, sir.
Hello to you, sir.
I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of Biden or Trump, but I think you make an excellent point when you say the judge, when he says he has wishes this or wishes that. As a judge, you're not supposed to have, like, wishes.
I know.
It's like,
I mean, imagine meeting out $9,000 in fines, so that's 9 violations that he says Trump did, and that he could only – this has been their game to try to bankrupt him. I mean, we've seen numbers that we've never even imagined, whether it's the hundreds of millions of dollars that President Trump had to put on deposit. And I agree with you. You don't have to be a fan of either to be a fan of fairness.
That's it. That's all it can come down to. I mean, it's almost like, do I personally believe he did something shady with the money part? Yeah, I mean, it looks obvious, but they're hurting their case by making it about all these other things and shutting him up and this and that. It's like, just focus on the one thing while you're here. You're making it worse for yourself and almost making Trump more of a martyr by doing it, all these other things.
Well, that's why his poll numbers keep going up. People know fairness and unfairness when they see it. Let me, if you don't mind, let me take full advantage, because I'm almost always talking to someone that's either for Trump or for Biden. Very rarely do I ever get to talk to somebody that's not for either of them. So I'm very curious what you're going to say to my question to you. You've got the whole Biden family with all these millions of dollars coming from all these different countries, and they ship it all around and form all these limited liability companies and stuff, and even deposits into the grandkids' accounts and things like that. Do you believe that Biden and the Biden family have done shaky things?
I'm a stand-up comedian, and one of my favorite comics was Bill Hicks, and he said a great joke about when you really look at things, it's like, well, this guy on the right is doing this, puppet on the right is doing this, and this puppet on the left is doing this, and then when you look, there's like one person holding up both puppets. So I don't think anything you see on TV or anything is actually what's going on in reality. It's just all like smokescreen stuff. So
let me ask you this. How about the way the comedians aren't funny anymore and have become basically, not all, but it's a general statement that's largely true, have all become Democrat sort of associates of Biden's? I mean, you realize, because you're a comedian, the golden material that Saturday Night Live, if you remember, I'm not sure how old you are, but when Gerald Ford, one time only, and it was a rainy day, and there were no treads on Air Force One steps, and Ford comes sliding down the steps onto his keister. Well, Chevy Chase made a career out of busting through podiums, falling everywhere, breaking tables, the whole deal. It happened one time. They never let it go, like a dog on the bone. Biden is a comedian's gift of gifts of all time, but yet none of the comedians use any of it.
I wouldn't say they use none of it. I do a joke where I say that I was watching, you can't trust news. I was watching the news and they said, Jill Biden had COVID, but Joe has no symptoms. And then I looked up COVID symptoms, and it's that you're sleepy and forgetful and disoriented. And I'm like, I think Joe has COVID every day.
That's good. That's a good one. But you're one of the rare ones. I'm shocked. Come on now. I'm not. I can't make you think like I think. But the whether it's these late night shows that or the late night comedians that used to be comedians, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, they made fun of both sides, Saturday Night Live. You can't disagree that it's not happening anymore. Come on.
I think the best ones are open-minded. And I'll give you an example. Chris Rock does a great joke where he says,
he's the best.
You know, I'm some things I'm liberal and some things I'm conservative. He's like, criminals, I think you need to be hard on and punish.
And he hits both sides.
Yeah, he's like, when it comes to prostitution, hey, I'm open to it.
Yeah, by the way, I don't want a comedian to only hit Democrats because, you know, that helps Republicans. I want them to be fair, and I want them to hit both sides with the same intensity. And I respect that you're in the business, but I know what I know, and that is that from, I don't call him Colbert because that's a fraud, Colbert, and even Jimmy Fallon, who used to be funny, and now he had to because his ratings tanked. He had to play the be a political commentator and not a comedian. None of them. Only Gutfeld tells jokes. None of them tell jokes anymore. They actually do anti-Trump commentary. It's what they do.
What do you think about Jon Stewart? Is he fair? I mean,
he is fairer. I wouldn't call him fair, but he is fairer. He will hit both sides. And since he kind of retired and sort of came back one night a week or whatever it is, he will do more than the others that I mentioned.
Yeah. I mean,
you did mention one that I'm a fan of, not because he got slapped in the face by Will Smith, but Chris Rock is an equal opportunity offender. That's the way it used to be. Whether you're Don Rickles, Johnny Carson, Buddy Hackett, you know, real comedians, Jay Leno, you hit both sides.
I think there is more out there on the other side than you're maybe looking for. I mean, Shane Gillis is really popular.
I'm going to say not prominent. Now, that's one that is. And what? He was canceled and, you know, got his life back. But very few.
Comedy does lean left. I'll give you that.
And it didn't used to, though. It used to be equal opportunity. If it was a Democrat and it was funny, I mean, Saturday Night Live used to have some of the best writing and equal opportunity type offending stuff, and they just all got on board with we're Democrats and we've got to crush Trump and we can't make fun of Joe Biden, because actually comedians largely in days gone by, they could set public opinion because you actually made fun of things that were true. You didn't make up things. And now when they won't do that, the public is left, you know, fortunately we have more ways to get the truth now than we ever did, but they can serve a very useful purpose. I mean, you know, if Donald Trump had to read a teleprompter to barely be coherent, and he was falling down and falling off bicycles and just crazy time, shaking hands with people that aren't there, the comedians of today would be unmerciful in their skits about that. Instead, it's Biden, and they can't do
Trump
it.
Gets it I think they both get it pretty good. I think we...
well, you can't... Okay. You're going to tell me that they both get it the same? Then I'm going to say that you have some kind of tsetse fly bite and you're suffering from fever. I'm talking like 95% to 5%. This isn't like... I'm saying it's 55-45 and you think it's 50-50. This is not even close. If you think it's close, you're not paying attention.
What I think happens is with the Democrats, comedians go after physical things, jokes about them like, you know, falling or being like sleepy, this, that, whereas...
Well, let me give you an example. Joe Biden's dogs, whether it was Major or Scout or both of them, I forget which one. I know Major was a serial, you know, biter. Bit like 17 different Secret Service agents, and I could go on and on and on. Now, Kristi Noem, who I have absolutely trashed for what she has done, so I'm equal opportunity. Biden got a little bit, nothing like what Kristi Noem is getting. And Kristi Noem is governor of a small state. She might or might not be on a short list for VP. Here we have the sitting president of the United States with the dog living in the White House, biting people on a daily basis. and none of the comedians are doing anything with it. Do me a favor. Let me get in one more caller before we run out of show, but I hope you'll call me again. I've enjoyed your call, and what I'm not sure of is if you're putting me on that you really think it's close to 50-50 in terms of Biden and Trump humor, or if you're just a quiet lib and you're just trying to pull one over on us. I don't have you figured out yet, but I like the dialogue anyhow, even if you are putting us on. So call me back another time. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
It's early morning.
Good morning.
President Trump.
Yes.
I don't know how people could like him. From morning to night, all they hear is negative.
Yeah.
And then when they're asked, oh, I don't like him. And the one question they're ever asked, never, why? Because I'm going to guarantee they don't know why.
They can't answer that. I mean, maybe they'll say his mean tweets, boorish behavior, has disrespected women, hey, Heather, and other things like that. But they really don't articulate it. The real reason is they want their guy to win, and Trump has shown he can win, and they don't want that. Remember, George W. Bush was called Hitler and horrible names by all these same people. Now they love him. It's not just that absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's that he's not a threat anymore. He won twice. How dare you? Al Gore should be president, not you. John Kerry should be president, not you. And they hate him. And then when he's out, they don't hate him as much. You see what I'm saying? They loved McCain. But then McCain became the nominee, and they hated McCain. And he scratched his head and he said, you used to love me. No, Senator, they never loved you. They loved you because you were anti-Bush and you were a useful idiot. They never loved you. And the moment you were the nominee, they flambéed him. So then when McCain wasn't a threat, then they love him again. So that's the game.
It's amazing. But they turn off one side of their brain and they they don't understand why. In other words, they listen to it from morning to night. Negativity.
Oh, look, and let's face it, that does have an effect on some people. If all you ever hear are horrifically bad things, my God, I don't ever hear a good word. But yet NPR today reported that Democrats have nostalgia for Trump. I use the expression absence makes the heart grow fonder, but really what that is, if you're being objective and you know what it was like to have $2 a gallon gas, food and other things that you could afford, energy independent, net oil exporter, low unemployment, incredibly low, historically low inflation, 0 to under 2% the whole 4 years, mortgage rates that were low, car loans that were low. I mean, what's not to like?
Look what they're trying to do to Netanyahu right now.
It's terrible. They're awful. Same people. We understand. They equate Netanyahu to Trump-like. They think that he's like a barbarian. It's so eerily similar how Netanyahu and Trump are treated. Now, Netanyahu not nearly as bad as Trump yet, in a small way, just as bad. I mean, it's awful how they treat him. Who would ever believe that you would have the highest ranking Jew in American history elected in Schumer and Congressman Gerald Nadler calling for regime change, worst leader in 2,000 years? Who would believe this?
It's a disgrace. He's doing...
And it's during a time of war that it's happening.
Insane.
I know. Nobody would do that. I mean, God, you don't do that anywhere. You don't undermine the commander-in-chief during a time of war, and they're not sending him ammunition. That's never been done.
Well, I think people really are going to have to start just saying enough is enough. You do what you would normally do for one of our friends.
Exactly.
one of our...
Like what they insisted we do for Ukraine.
Right. And who was always there when we had a problem?
Oh, well, look, United Kingdom,
really,
Israel, always our best two, and we've always been there for them until now. Obama grew up hating Israel. His father hated Israel. His father hated the United Kingdom. I urge people, go read these horrible books that this self-absorbed lunatic wrote about himself, Dreams of My Father, and these different crazy things. He tells you the whole story. They hate Israel. They hate United Kingdom. And when you look at the policies, they live up to it.
Yeah. And people forget about just a simple thing that, like what Obama did. The first thing into the White House, get Churchill's head is get him out of the White House.
Oh, that was a true statement that, people put that on like these websites to tell you something's true or false. It was absolutely true. He took down the Winston Churchill bust. I also think it's hilarious that Joe Biden has Bobby Kennedy, the father, senior, his bust in every shot when he's sitting down in a chair, strategically put there, but yet Bobby Kennedy Jr. has asked for Secret Service protection like 25 times and has credible threats and even had someone bring a weapon, a gun, to one of his rallies, and Biden won't give him Secret Service protection. These are really bad people.
Well, he's a really bad person.
That's what I'm saying.
To think that he has the power to do what he's doing across the board.
Well, until we have an election, he does.
Well, hopefully we can get it accomplished before that. I won't go into that.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not commenting further on that. Nothing will be accomplished of any substance until the election on November 5th, because unfortunately we have one president at a time, even when we really don't have a president. And this one is making he has proxy that runs the show, and they're making really bad decisions.
Somebody should give him the handbook of what he's supposed to be doing, because he sure as hell isn't reading it, nor has he ever read it.
Oh, yeah, I hear you on that. All right, let me run for now. To be continued next time we talk, my friend. Have a great day. 4 minutes past the hour. The birthday eve boy, Brian Kilmeade, on deck. Big day tomorrow, number 60. Big day. Brian's another one of those guys, I'll tell you what. He looks very good. Doctors will tell you, well, maybe they don't tell you, but they do have it in the file. Patient appears older than age or younger than age. Brian's a young 60. Infatigable. Great guy. Generous guy. And deserves all the success that he has amassed. President Trump said, since we were last together, I think he said it Friday, that Judge Merchan is making the case as salacious as possible. And there's no doubt in my mind that that's the case, because the Access Hollywood stuff should not be allowed. McDougal should not be allowed to be, all these things that are so appealable, but they want to make things that are not a crime, that you might be turned off by even, but are not a crime. They want to make them. They keep saying about all these crimes, but they haven't yet. It's the fourth week of the trial. They haven't yet cited the first crime, because there never was a crime. And we know that because the federal government, and whether it's the DOJ or the FEC, Federal Election Commission, they looked at all of this and did not criminally prosecute because there were no charges. And they were also mindful of the John Edwards case, which is a lot worse than Trump's. And John Edwards was acquitted. This is awful, and that's why it's in a New York City courtroom before a conflicted judge who is one of the most biased examples that we will ever see in 100 lifetimes. Enjoy the rest of your day. Brian Kilmeade is here. I'll see you in 19 hours and 54 minutes. Let's make it a great